Even a black bear would be smashed to pieces, not to mention a human. However, this brat was actually able to withstand it and not fall into a disadvantageous position. This was not simple. Students over there, what are you doing? You're not allowed to cause trouble here. Otherwise, you'll be disqualified immediately. A security guard at the side saw the situation and immediately went forward to warn them. Seeing the security guard arrive, Feng Hatong didn't care at all. He still looked at Xiaoping and sneered. But if you want to be arrogant in front of me, Feng Hatong, you're not qualified. Han Shan is my little brother. By teaching him a lesson, you're slapping my face. You're not giving me any face. Just you wait. When the competition starts, you'll have a good time. Dropping this sentence, he waved his hand and left with a group of people. Han Shan also glared at Xiaoping fiercely and left, but he was in a very happy mood because with Feng Hatong's attack, this kid would definitely die miserably. Better than me? Xiaoping's eyes showed a glimmer of coldness. With the security guard here, it was not easy for him to make a move. Once he entered the competition scene, how could this Feng Hatong be his opponent? On Beast Island, even if he took the crazy magic pill and was promoted to the half-step martial warrior realm, the leader of the cheetah regiment was not his opponent. He was blown up by him with one punch and died without a whole body. This Feng Hatong, who was only at the 9th heaven layer, dared to be arrogant in front of him. Isn't this courting death? This damn troublemaker. Xiong Batian and others' faces were green. The competition hasn't started yet, and they have provoked a strong enemy from Xinbo Middle School. When they enter the competition, how can they still live? They knew that this bastard was not a good thing. He was definitely a god of plague, but they didn't expect him to be so hateful. Rumble, at this moment, a huge white spaceship appeared in the sky. It quickly docked on the square. The hatch opened, and immediately students in white school uniforms came out. These students wore very ordinary clothes, but each of them exuded a strong martial arts aura, like a fierce beast, and the entire venue seemed to be suppressed by them. Each of them was impressively a strong martial artist in the 9th heaven layer. Students of Tianshui City's first middle school. A student whispered. Everyone was shocked. Tianshui City's first middle school is the best school in the entire Tianshui City. It is not a private school but a public school, and the tuition is very low. But it is surprisingly difficult to take the exam. Those who can go to this school are all the best students in Tianshui City. Each of them is powerful, and other middle schools can't compare with them at all. The high school fighting competition held in Tianshui City has been held for a total of 108 sessions. Among them, the champions of 100 sessions were all students of Tianshui City's first middle school. There is no doubt that this group of people are the favorites for the championship of this high school fighting competition. Some people even say that the championship battle is likely to be carried out among the students of Tianshui City's first middle school, and other schools are supporting roles. Although people from other schools are reluctant to admit this, when they saw the students of Tianshui City's first middle school coming out of the spaceship, they all felt an invincible feeling in their hearts. Look, that's Qin Muyang, the strongest person in Tianshui City's first middle school, the peak of the 9th heaven layer. It seems that he is about to break through to the martial warrior realm. A student stared at a young man in a white school uniform standing at the front. It is said that his father is still the mayor of Tianshui City, and the Qin family is also one of the largest families in Tianshui City. Outstanding talent, born in a rich family, this kind of person is simply perfect. This Qin Muyang is the favorite to win this high school fighting competition. It is said that even in Tianshui City's first middle school, he is the overwhelming number one, and no one can match him. Everyone was talking about it, looking at the students of Tianshui City's first middle school with envy and jealousy. If the previous Zhengde Middle School and Xinbo Middle School were local tyrant schools, then Tianshui City's first middle school is a real genius school. Those who can go to study in it are all martial arts geniuses, and any one of them is in the top 10 of the major schools. Chapter 117. Boom. With the arrival of the white spaceship, a pink spaceship followed closely behind. It also quickly arrived at the venue. The cabin door opened, and beautiful women with beautiful bodies walked down from it. It looked like a group of female idols, which shocked everyone present. The girls from Xiulan Middle School are here. No way, the legendary noble school for girls. Yes, that's the school. It said that the girls who want to study in this school either have excellent academic performance or are born in rich families. It's a real noble school for girls. I didn't expect to see the girls from Sholan Middle School here. How lucky. It said that they usually stay in the school and rarely go out. Once they do, they'll be surrounded by a large group of followers. It's the real place to train young ladies. Many students were discussing and watching the girls walk down from the pink spaceship. Facing the uproar around them, they didn't move and walked straight ahead. However, wherever they moved, they became the focus of the crowd. Wait, isn't the one leading the group the princess of Tianshui City, Nangongwu? A male student exclaimed and immediately saw a long-haired girl walking at the front. Everyone immediately looked over. The girl had beautiful long hair and was extremely beautiful. She had a slender figure and a pair of spirited eyes that seemed to be able to speak. Especially her legs, which were extremely slender. Her waist was so slender that it could be held. She was simply an unattainable goddess. Yes, she's Nangongwu from Tianshui City. It's said that she's the princess of the Nangong family and the only legal heir. The Nangong family is the richest family in Tianshui City. They control a fleet and are known as the king of the fishing industry. Their assets are over 10 billion, and they even dabble in hotels, restaurants, real estate, etc. If you marry the princess of the Nangong family, it'll be like a carp leaping through the dragon's gate. You'll immediately have a net worth of 10 billion. The number of people who want to marry her can line up from the top of the city to the bottom of the city. You're not qualified. After her photo was released, she was immediately chosen by the netizens as the #1 person they want to marry the most. She has countless pursuers. I heard that even Qin Muyang has been pursuing her. He even went to the Nangong family to propose marriage, but unfortunately she didn't agree. Many students discussed animatedly as they looked at Nangong Wu of Sholan Middle School. She was like a princess, and could be said to be the moon surrounded by stars. Her body emitted a charm that was hard to forget. Some people also noticed that Qin Muyang, who had always been arrogant and expressionless, changed the moment he saw Nangong Wu. It seemed like he wanted to go up and chat with her. However, he still resisted and did not act. Sholan High School. Xiaoping's eyes flickered as he looked at the girls. He seemed to be thinking of something. Xiaoping, you're not planning something bad, are you? Zhang Yar was very sensitive. He immediately noticed that there was something wrong with Xiaoping's gaze. It was as if he wanted to do something bad. Hearing this, Xiaoping felt very wronged and shouted, "You are wronging me. Do I look like the kind of person who does bad things? Don't judge a book by its cover." Bullshit. Xiong Badian and the others looked at Xiaoping with disdain. You bastard, without a doubt, you are that kind of person. Moreover, you never do anything good. You specialize in doing bad things. There is no one more despicable than you. Right, they suddenly thought of something. It was said that this Xiaoping was lustful. He was despicable and shameless. He had countless girlfriends and had even impregnated many high school girls. Could it be that this bastard wanted to extend his evil palms to the daughters of Sholan Middle School? Instantly their expressions changed. This was bad. These beautiful girls were like white rabbits. Being targeted by a big bad wolf, how could they still be alive? It would be strange if they didn't eat them up. Who knew? Maybe the girls of Sholan Middle School had already fallen into this bastard's hands. Ding dong, without waiting for Xiong Badian and the others to say anything, a huge screen suddenly appeared in the air above the plaza. Following that, a middle-aged man wearing a black suit appeared. He was the person in charge of this competition, Chan Hai. Students. The responsible Chan Hai opened his mouth and said, "I believe that you have already understood some of the rules of the preliminaries, so I won't say much. I just want to tell you one thing. Later, the staff will give you a smartwatch. The smartwatch will show the map of the simulated city and the location of the token. You can find the token according to the instructions of the watch. Apart from this watch, you can't bring anything else in. Otherwise, it will be regarded as cheating, and you will be eliminated immediately. If anyone wants to admit defeat, you can also press the button on the watch. Then you can immediately withdraw from the competition." Okay, the commentary ends here. Good luck, everyone. At this point, with a snap, the projection in the air immediately disappeared. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Then one by one, the staff came to the front of each school and handed out a watch. Each student had one, and each student had to wear it on their right wrist. Xiaoping also took a watch and pressed the button. With a beep, a virtual map immediately appeared, seemingly showing the map of a virtual city in front of them. However, on the map the number 1053 was shown, and there was also the appearance of the 8th zone. The staff seemed to have noticed Xiaoping's confusion and explained, "This is a serial number. It will be randomly distributed. The entire virtual city will be divided into 16 zones, and you will all be randomly distributed to these 16 zones. This is to prevent some of the stronger schools from joining forces to eliminate other students, causing injustice." Xiaoping nodded. He also understood why the person in charge of the competition would do this. If the students of the schools were not randomly distributed, he was afraid that it would become a competition between schools. The weaker schools would definitely not be a match for the stronger schools. Once you get the watch and know which zone you are in, immediately gather at the entrance of the zone and wait for the competition to begin, the staff said to Xiaoping. "Thank you." Xiaoping nodded, turned around and walked toward the 8th zone. The other students also began to move, one after another, heading toward their assigned zone. After all, the competition would begin in an hour, and they could not afford to waste time. "This is the 8th zone?" A few minutes later, Xiaoping arrived at the 8th zone. He raised his head and looked over. A huge city gate was placed in front of him, and the surrounding steel walls were hundreds of meters tall, looking extremely magnificent. He knew that this simulated city was surrounded by a circular steel wall, divided into 16 zones and 16 gates. The area was extremely large, enough to accommodate millions of people. 3,000 people entering was simply like a drop of water entering the sea. "Come over and check your belongings. Then gather in front of the city gate," a staff said. Chapter 118. Malicious intent. When Xiaoping passed through the metal detector and gathered in front of the city gate, he immediately sensed several malicious gazes coming from afar. It was Feng Hetong. He immediately saw that not far away among the crowd, a huge fatty Feng Hetong was standing there. He stood out from the crowd, extremely conspicuous and full of pressure. Beside him stood 2 or 3 students from Xinbo Middle School. Even Han Shan and the other 2 or 3 students from Jingde Middle School were here. It was really a narrow road for enemies. These guys are also in the 8th area. What a coincidence. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. He was randomly divided into 16 areas, but he was actually able to meet Feng Hetong and the others. Could only be considered luck. However, he ignored them and stood quietly, waiting for the competition to begin. However, not far away, Han Shan and the others also found traces of Xiaoping. "Haha, I didn't expect this damn Xiaoping to also be assigned to the 8th area. This time he's out of luck." Han Shan was overjoyed when he found traces of Xiaoping. Originally, even if they entered the simulation city, it would not be easy to find Xiaoping in such a big city. If the other party deliberately hid, it would be even more difficult. But who would have thought that this kid would also be assigned to the 8th area just like them? This time, even if this guy wanted to escape, it would be even more difficult. He is indeed out of luck. Feng Hetong revealed a cold smile. "I wanted to deal with him later, but I didn't expect him to come to us in person. This is God's will. God's will is hard to deal with." He stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes extremely cold. "Indeed, a student from a small civilian school dares to clamor at us. He is simply courting death. We must teach him a lesson and let him know the gap between us. So what if he has a bit of talent? He was still beaten half to death by us. I want to teach him some principles. I think he will be grateful to us in the future. Although we can't kill him in this competition, we can still beat him half to death. As long as his life is not in danger, those referees will not come out to stop us. As soon as we enter, we will immediately make a move. We won't even give him a chance to press the button on his watch and forfeit. When the time comes, we will play with him in this city." The students grinned and stared at Xiaoping as if they had found an interesting toy. "Xiaoping, oh Xiaoping, this time, I must repay your kindness on Beast Island." Han Shan clenched his teeth and stared at Xiaoping. His heart was filled with rage. Ever since he returned from the Beast Island, He had suffered such humiliation and had to lie in the hospital for a week to recover. However, this incident had caused his status in Jingda High School to plummet. After all, seeing him in such a humiliating state, those lackeys and girls no longer treated him as a god like before. Instead, there was a faint sense of disdain. This kind of gaze was unbearable to him. If he didn't teach this Xia Ping a lesson, it would be difficult for him to get rid of his inner demons. It would be very difficult for him to improve his martial arts cultivation in the future. Therefore, even if he gave up his dignity as the gang leader of Zhangde Middle School, he still asked for help from the boss of Xinbo Middle School. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to vent his anger at all. Ding dong, just at this moment, the crisp sound of a bell came from afar. It was clear and melodious, and it spread throughout the entire square, allowing every student to hear it clearly. Rumble, then the huge city gate in front of them opened. The mechanical shaft rotated and slowly moved to both sides, slowly revealing the true appearance of the simulated city. The competition has begun. Participants, please go in immediately. A staff member held a loudspeaker and shouted at the participating students, announcing the official start of the competition. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hearing these words, the surrounding students immediately moved and quickly rushed toward the simulated city without hesitation. Those who entered first would undoubtedly gain some advantages. When all the students entered the simulated city, the city gate at the back was also closed, preventing anyone from entering or leaving. Amazing! After entering the simulation city, some of the students were immediately shocked by the scene in front of them. Tall buildings rose and fell one after another, roads extended in all directions, and there were even taxis parked on the roads. There were even pieces of advertising paper floating on the ground, and there were trees and streetlights by the side of the road. It was completely a real city. One must know that a few days ago this place was just an ordinary stadium, but now it had immediately turned into a real simulated city. Such efficiency was really terrifying. It was probably impossible for humans hundreds of years ago to imagine such a scene. In just a few days, a city that could accommodate millions of people could be built, and it didn't even require a lot of money. However, this was the power of technology. Quick, the token is just over 10 kilometers away. Hurry up and snatch the token. If we are too late, it might be snatched away by others. Let's go immediately. There are only 16 of these tokens. After entering the simulated city, all the students couldn't wait any longer. According to the virtual map displayed on their smartwatches, they all madly rushed toward their destination. After all, there was only one token. If it was snatched away, the others wouldn't have a share. Xia Ping also wanted to move, but before he could take a step, he was immediately blocked by 5 to 6 people. These people were Feng Hatong and the other 5, and each of them looked at him fiercely. Aren't you going to fight for the token? Xia Ping looked at them indifferently. Feng Hatong snorted coldly, still trying to act cool here. I already told you long ago how miserable it would be to offend me, Feng Hatong. However, you actually didn't take it seriously and even dared to talk back to me. You don't know how to appreciate favors. Now do you know your mistake? He looked down from above, full of oppression, as if he was looking at prey. Han Shan and the others also stared at Xia Ping fiercely, as if they were going to tear Xia Ping apart at any time. At this time, they would definitely not let this kid escape. Feng Hatong. Xia Ping looked at Feng Hatong indifferently. Don't provoke me. Get lost now, and I can still save you some face. Otherwise, you will be miserable. Really miserable. Do you understand? Understand my ass. Feng Hatong's nose was crooked from anger. At this time, this kid actually dared to be arrogant in front of him. If he didn't beat this kid up, he wouldn't be the boss of Xinbo Middle School. Since you are stubborn and won't repent until you see the coffin, I will let you suffer. Boom! Chapter 119. When the game began, the high-definition cameras distributed in all corners of the entire Sim City immediately began to work, recording the game scenes in 16 areas. Then these pictures were broadcast live so that the entire Tianshui city and even the entire Yangzhou district could see them, and they could be transmitted to the TV, and even the internet could be watched. For the first time, the audience noticed that Feng Hatong and others were fighting with Xia Ping. Look! Someone just went in and started fighting. There must be hatred between these two groups, so they started fighting just after the game started. This damn fatty is really powerful. He actually learned the high-level martial arts technique heart destruction palm. With a slap, he destroyed the heart and immediately exuded a fierce aura. People with slightly weaker willpower would be scared to pee their pants. Of course, he is powerful. This fatty is a powerhouse in the 9th heaven of martial arts. He is one of the top masters in Shimbwa Middle School. It is normal for him to use this move. That kid is finished. I think he will be beaten to shit with one palm. Many audiences all over Tianshui City were talking and communicating on the internet. On these live TV platforms, you can type your own feelings, or you can click on the above screen and immediately display the simple information of each contestant, so that the audience can understand these contestants. It can be said that this kind of commercialization has reached the extreme. However, it is indeed as these audiences said. This fatty Feng Hatong is indeed powerful. He used the heart destruction palm to the perfect realm. And with the power of the 9th heaven of martial arts, the palm wind is terrifying. With a single slap, even a water buffalo would be smashed into pieces, and its internal organs would explode. But what kind of character is Xia Ping? He even took the crazy demon pill and reached the cheetah regiment leader Lin Bao's fatal blow. How could he be afraid of this Feng Hatong's heart destruction palm? In the face of Feng Hatong's palm, Xia Ping also made a move and blasted out with a punch. Boom, the two men's fists and palms collided together, and the soft power collided with the fierce and unparalleled power, exploding in the air, as if producing a gas explosion. And the ground at the feet of the two men immediately produced a deep pit, and cracks spread around, making a cracking sound. Han Shan and others couldn't help but take a few steps back and were repelled by these strong winds. How is this possible? Feng Hatong was shocked. This palm strike was a strike that he was determined to win, unlike the one he had held back outside the square. However, when such a palm strike landed on the boy's body, it was as if it had hit a ball of cotton. His soft and ruthless power was easily neutralized, as if it could not hurt his body at all. This is also normal. Xia Ping's Dark North body protection technique has been cultivated to a very high level, and the powerhouse of the 9th heaven of the martial artist can no longer cause any harm to him. It was estimated that only a martial warrior realm powerhouse would have such qualifications, but how could Feng Hatong know such an exquisite protective technique like the Dark North body protection palace? Oh no! Just as his palm struck out in vain, he realized that Xia Ping was not going to let him go. Xia Ping punched out with his left fist. It was as fast as lightning and as fast as lightning. It was unstoppable. Dragon fist. Azure dragon shakes the heavens. As he punched out, the faint roar of a dragon could be heard in the void. The void trembled, causing the blood of Han Shan and the others to boil. They were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood and felt like they were about to faint. This force, like the roar of a dragon, suddenly blasted out, and it was unparalleled, shaking the earth. Boom, all of a sudden, it hit the fat man Feng Hatong solidly. No! Feng Hatong immediately let out a scream. He felt that this tyrannical and unparalleled force had reached 30,000 jin. Even with his physical defense, he could not resist it at all. In just one breath, his body, which weighed 300 jin, was blasted out, flew directly hundreds of meters, and finally hit a huge cement wall on the side of the street. With a few cracks, Feng Hatong was embedded in the cement wall, and his whole body was sunken inside. A large amount of gravel rolled down, and even the wall had more than a dozen cracks. Too strong. Is this still 5 forms fist? I have also practiced 5 forms fist, but there is no such power. If I guessed correctly, this has been cultivated to the realm of perfection, turning the rotten into the magical. No way, this guy is also an 18-year-old young man, and he has actually comprehended 5 forms fist to the realm of perfection. Generally speaking, even talented martial arts experts can only have such comprehension at the age of 20 or 30. I once saw an old man who had practiced fist techniques for decades, and he used 5 forms fist like this, but he was already a martial arts grandmaster, and he cultivated for decades like a day. Abnormal. This is the fighting level of Tianshui City. It has just started, and it is already so strong? On the live broadcast platform, countless viewers were exclaiming. In this era where everyone was cultivating martial arts, there were hidden dragons and crouching tigers, and almost everyone had a very deep understanding of martial arts. Among them, there was no lack of real martial arts experts. "Oh no, this kid is too scary, let's run." Seeing Xiaoping so fierce, it seemed that he was even more terrifying than when he was on Beast Island. Han Shan's face turned green, and he immediately wanted to run away. Otherwise, if he fell into the hands of this kid, he would not be able to get away. The others were also extremely shocked. Even their boss Feng Hatong was not a match and was defeated by a punch. They estimated that even if they fought together, they would not be a match for this kid. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Han Shan and others immediately wanted to escape. Want to run? Xiaoping's eyes showed a trace of coldness, his figure flickered, and suddenly divided into 5 phantoms in the air, like a tiger, a dragon, a white crane, a poisonous snake, and a cheetah. In just a breath, Han Shan and the other 5 people could not even run a step, and almost at the same time they were hit by a punch and their whole body was smashed out like a cannonball. Bang bang bang. They let out a shrill scream, flew out horizontally, and smashed hard on the wall above the street, and also smashed out 5 holes like a painting hanging on the wall. With a puff, these people could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood, and several ribs in their chests were broken. 5 forms fist, my god, I thought it was just a legend, I didn't expect someone to really practice it. This kid is abnormal, definitely a pure big abnormal. Seeing this scene, a member of the audience immediately cried out, completely stunned. Many spectators were also shocked, they were also strong martial arts cultivators, and of course they knew how terrifying it was to be able to punch out 5 forms at the same time. The power of such a punch was increased several times. It was estimated that this young man had cultivated the 5 forms fist to the highest realm, turning the rotten into the magical, proficient in the essence of each fist technique. Chapter 120. Go and find out who this kid is immediately? Why have I never heard of this young man? He can actually practice martial arts to this level in the martial disciple realm. What will happen in the future? Another martial Dao Grandmaster. I found it. This is Xiaoping from Tianshui City 95th High School. He was born a commoner, and his family has been ordinary people for 18 generations. According to the data, a few months ago, he was only in the 3rd heaven of martial disciple realm. No, now he is in the 8th heaven of martial disciple. How can he improve so fast? It may be that he is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, concealing his strength, or maybe he is enlightened and his strength has advanced by leaps and bounds. Indeed, there are many people like this who suddenly become enlightened and their martial arts strength has advanced by leaps and bounds. It is not surprising. Immediately list him as a key signing target and send an invitation to him. We must not let other organizations get ahead of us. Seeing this scene on the live video, the people in charge of the martial Dao organizations who are always paying attention to the Tianshui City High School fighting competition were all alarmed and investigated Xiaoping, intending to invite him. In this era, technology is developed, martial arts is prosperous, and there are many tyrannical martial arts organizations and companies in society. These are all legal and allowed by the federal government. What is the most expensive thing in this era is undoubtedly talent, martial arts talent. With tyrannical martial arts powerhouses, they can go to various dangerous places to adventure, hunt monsters, explore minerals, find spirit medicines, excavate ancient ruins, and so on. What real estate, hotels, restaurants, entertainment, and other businesses, how can they compare to these adventures? Once successful, they will become rich overnight, making money faster than a money printing machine. Some people say that now technology is developed, there are laser guns, mecha laser cannons, and other tyrannical weapons. Even ordinary people can control these weapons and hunt martial arts powerhouses. Martial arts powerhouses are not great at all. But if these martial arts powerhouses also have these weapons, the power they exert is definitely dozens of times stronger than ordinary people, even more than 100 times. A treasured sword that could cut through iron like mud was just a toy in the hands of a child, and it could only be used to chop vegetables in the hands of a chef. But in the hands of a true grandmaster of the sword, it was an extremely terrifying killing weapon that could split the sky and slaughter thousands of soldiers. I didn't expect to find such a martial arts genius in Tianshui City. My luck is really good. Looks like other than Qin Muyang and the other popular champions, there are still many dark horses. That's normal. In this era, it's not just the rich and powerful who can produce geniuses. The commoners aren't inferior either. We must pay close attention to it. Don't let other organizations get ahead of us. Many people in charge of the martial arts organizations issued orders to their subordinates in a solemn tone. Being able to discover a heavenly talent of martial arts with potential was no less than buying the original shares of Alibaba, Tencent, and other big companies when they were just starting out. The value of the shares would be dozens, hundreds, or even tens of thousands of times higher. After all, a true martial Dao grandmaster could support an organization for decades or even centuries. The benefits they could bring to an organization were simply unimaginable. Therefore, these martial arts organizations are always paying attention to the fighting competitions in every city of the entire Yanhuang Star. They hope to dig out the real martial arts geniuses and invite them to join their organizations. This was also why the Tianshui City High School fighting competition was so popular. Even if it cost a lot of money, it would not hesitate, among which there were many martial arts organizations secretly sponsoring. Of course, for the high school students of Tianshui City, it was also an opportunity for them to leap over the Dragon Gate. If they could get the appreciation of these powerful martial arts organizations, join these organizations, and get the other parties training, then they could get a lot of resources, continue to grow stronger, and get twice the results with half the effort. If not for this, how could they compete with those children of rich and powerful families who were born with rich and powerful backgrounds? It can be said that the Tianshui City High School fighting competition is a stage for them to show their talent and strength. Even if they can't enter the top 16, it doesn't matter. As long as they get the appreciation of some martial arts organizations, then they will earn. At this time, in a VIP room in the government center of Tianshui City, there were more than a dozen people standing in this place. If someone was familiar with the officialdom of Tianshui City, everyone would be shocked. Because these people were the 9 representatives of Tianshui City, the mayor, the deputy mayor, and other big figures. Any one of these people would cause Tianshui City to catch a cold for 3 days if they sneezed. However, these big shots could only stand at the side respectfully. The only one who could sit was an old man wearing a white training suit. He sat on a black chair, exuding an unfathomable martial arts aura, like a god. Even behind the old man in white stood 3 or 4 middle-aged men, who seemed to be bodyguards, but each of these people had earth-shattering strength, oppressing these big shots of Tianshui City to the point that they couldn't even breathe. Not bad. The old man in white faintly looked at the screen above the VIP room, and also saw the scene of Xiaoping's attack. He raised his eyebrows and said, "I didn't expect Tianshui City to have such a martial arts genius. To be able to practice 5 forms fist to this level at such a young age, you can be regarded as a talent. Your Tianshui City has done a good job in education." Although it was a compliment, he wasn't moved because big figures like him had seen too many geniuses, and this was not enough to move him. But even so, the others were slightly shocked because it was not easy to attract the attention of this old man. It must be known that most of the strong martial artists couldn't even make this old man move his eyelids. "Thank you for the compliment, Elder Fong." Mayor Qin Fei was beaming with joy. It was the greatest honor to be praised by such a figure. If he could also get the other party's appreciation, his Qin family would probably be able to soar. "Counselor Fengshan, that fat man seems to be your son?" A counselor next to him whispered to the fat counselor next to him, asking very curiously, "Yes, it's my son." Half of the fat counselor Fengshan's face turned green. He clearly told his son that there were big figures coming to watch this competition, and he had to perform well. He didn't expect to be beaten up as soon as it started. Now, how could he leave a good impression on others? If he was eliminated from the fighting competition later, then his Feng family's face would be completely lost. "Counselor Feng, my condolences." A counselor next to him chuckled. "Damn it." Hearing such ridicule, the other half of the fat counselor Fengshan's face also turned green. How was this asking him to restrain his grief? It was clearly mocking him. Chapter 121. Kacha Kacha, Feng Hatong and the others who had been beaten on the wall, were grabbed down by Xiaoping one by one and smashed to the ground. They screamed in pain and their foreheads were sweating. Soon, these people were caught by Xiaoping in a nearby building and thrown on the ground. There were no monitors here, so it was convenient to do all kinds of bad things. "Kid, don't mess around." Feng Hatong gritted his teeth and stared at Xiaoping. "My father is a member of Tianshui City. If you dare to do anything to me, you will definitely not be able to eat it, you know?" If you know what's good for you, apologize to me immediately so maybe I will forgive you. His body was trembling, and he didn't expect that he, a powerhouse in the ninth heaven of martial arts, was actually not this kid's opponent. With just one punch he was defeated and several of his ribs were broken. It was a tragic sight to behold. Apologize. Hearing this, Xiaping suddenly smiled. With a snap, he pulled hard, and suddenly Han Shan and others heard a crisp fracture sound, which was very pleasant to the ear. Ah! Feng Hatong is the son of a member of parliament, his family is rich, and he has long been used to being pampered. How can he bear such pain? He screamed at once and it was extremely sad. He felt severe pain all over his body, as if something was drilling into his heart, and he was almost twitching. It's okay, it's just a dislocation. I'm the best at treating this kind of disease. Someone in the class gave me a nickname, Quack. Xiaping looked at Feng Hatong with a smile. Quack. Feng Hatong and others' faces were green. Damn, it's all a quack. What kind of medical skills do you have? You said that you are the best at treating diseases. The one who kills the most people is a quack. Who dares to treat you? With a snap, Xiaping immediately made a move. He grabbed with his big hand and used a little strength. Immediately, Feng Hatong also let out a scream, and his hand seemed to be connected again. Look, my medical skills are good, right? The broken hand is connected again. In another 3 months you will probably recover. Xiaping was proud and very confident in his medical skills. Damn it, what do you want to do? Feng Hatong screamed. His face was deathly pale. Now that medical technology was advanced, even if he had a whole body fracture, he could recover in a week with a lot of money and nutrient solution. But a dislocated arm would take 3 months to heal. Wasn't that just harming people? Nothing, I just want to see if my medical skills are good or not. With a snap, Xiaping pulled again, and Feng Hatong's arm was dislocated again. Feng Hatong almost fainted from the pain. Han Shan and the rest were terrified. Devil, this bastard was simply a devil. Where did he learn this kind of torturing method from? There wasn't even a TV show. If it weren't for the fact that they had been beaten to the point of exhaustion by this brat, they would have definitely fled with all their might. Kid, don't go too far. I, Feng Hatong, am the leader of Ximbua Middle School, and my father is a counselor of Tianshui City. Aren't you afraid of my revenge? Feng Hatong put on a strong front, but he was still very tough. Clap, clap, clap. Xiaping ignored him and made another move. He reconnected Feng Hatong's arm and broke it again. After 2 or 3 times in a row, Feng Hatong screamed in pain. His forehead was covered in cold sweat, and he was foaming at the mouth. He almost fainted. Not bad, you're tough enough. I like people like you. Xiaping praised. I often practice medical skills to save people. For this kind of bone-setting exercise, I just need to practice it 100 more times. 100 times. Han Shan and the rest broke out in a cold sweat. It was just a few times and Feng Hatong was in pain like a pig being slaughtered. If he did it 100 times, would he still be human? He would probably be tortured like a madman. No, big brother, I was wrong. Don't reconnect the bone, please spare me. Hearing this, Feng Hatong could no longer be tough. He finally gave in and begged Xiaping. Spare you? I don't dare. After all, if I make you angry, I, Xiaping, will not be able to bear the consequences. Who told you to be the son of Counselor Feng? Who dares to offend you? Let me practice a few more times. With a few slaps, Xiaping broke his arm again, reconnected it, broke it again and reconnected it again. Feng Hatong screamed. Finally, he could not bear such painful torture. His eyes rolled back and he foamed at the mouth. He fainted on the spot and lost consciousness. What a useless guy. He can't even bear such a little pain. How can he be a strong martial artist in the future? How can he enter the top 16? How can he enter the top universities? If he goes out, people will laugh at my Tianshui City. They will say that the people of Tianshui City only have this little ability. After a few slaps, Xiaping was very dissatisfied. He reached out and patted Feng Hatong's face, waking him up. This. Feng Hatong woke up and saw Xiaping's face. His face suddenly turned green, and he couldn't say a single word. Devil! Han Shan and the others couldn't help but scream in their hearts. Now that Feng Hatong was tortured so miserably, if it was their turn, Wouldn't it be even more miserable? Suddenly, a chill rose from the soles of their feet. They were terrified, and they could no longer have the mentality of fighting against Xiaoping. Big brother, spare our lives. We were wrong. Our dog eyes failed to recognize Mount Tai. Spare us this time. We will be grateful to you in the future, and we will avoid you whenever we see you. If you want money, we will give you as much as you want. We don't have anything, but we have money. Han Shan and the others trembled and begged Xiaoping for mercy, fearing that they would suffer the same torture as Feng Hatong. Begging for mercy? Xiaoping's eyes flickered. You would rather beg for mercy from me, the enemy, than give up the competition and leave. Can you tell me why? As long as Feng Hatong and the others pressed the button, the staff nearby would appear and rescue these people. Xiaoping could not continue to torture them like this. But they were unwilling to press the button and did not want to quit the competition. This was very strange. This. Feng Hatong and the others' eyes flickered. They obviously did not want to answer this question, because before the competition, their elders strongly warned them that they must not easily quit the competition. Because this competition was being watched by an important person, they must show their martial arts skills and talent. If they could catch the attention of that important person, they would immediately soar into the sky and become a fish that leaped through the dragon's gate. If they immediately quit the competition at the beginning of the competition and did not even have the chance to display their capabilities, they would disappoint their elders. Then after they left the competition, they would immediately be skinned by their own family elders and be completely classified as trash. They would no longer be able to enter the center of their family's power. With such consequences, they would not dare to quit the competition even if they were beaten to death. But how could they say such things? Wouldn't that be giving this kid something to use against them? You don't want to answer? Xiaoping rubbed his chin and revealed a devilish smile. It seems like you have your own difficulties. But I like people who have difficulties the most. Like my ass. Chapter 122. Big brother, say something. What will it take for you to let us go? Feng Hatong was extremely aggrieved. He knew that he had been caught by this bastard, and he might be tortured to death. Han Shan and the others were also half dead with anger. Their intestines were green with regret. If they had known that this bastard was so cruel, they would never have gone up to provoke him. It was too late now. This bastard knew that they couldn't casually withdraw from the competition. It would be a lie if he didn't take the opportunity to torture them. Let you go? My words are really unpleasant to hear. Am I such a bad person? Who doesn't know that I, Xiaoping, am the kindest person? I never coerce people, and I'm willing to help people. Xiaoping revealed a righteous expression. Kind my ass. Feng Hatong was so angry that his teeth itched. Who didn't know that this bastard was the most cruel and enjoyed torturing people? Just now this bastard broke his arm countless times. He even fainted from the pain and was about to be woken up again. If anyone dared to say that this bastard was kind, he would immediately fight with them. But how could he dare to say these words? He lowered his head and bowed with a flattering expression. Yes. Big brother is the kindest person. It's getting late, why don't you let us go? After all, the competition is important. If we are late, the tokens will be taken away by others. He couldn't wait to leave this demon's side. Xiaoping waved his hand. There's no hurry. There are 3 days. It's a long time. Let's take it slowly. Take it slowly. Feng Hatong and the others gritted their teeth. This bastard had time, but they didn't. 3 days was not long, but it was not short either. If they didn't pay attention, it would pass in the blink of an eye. Thinking of this, Feng Hatong gritted his teeth and said, Big brother, what do you want? If you want to extort money from us, we can give you as much as we have. No. Xiaoping waved his hand. Extortion is illegal. I won't do it. Moreover, I don't lack money. If you don't want me to target you, it's very simple. In these 3 days, the few of you will be my underlings and listen to my orders. If I tell you to go east, you can't go west. If I tell you to chase dogs, you can't chase chickens. He stated his terms. In fact, this was a plan that he had thought about for a long time. If he wanted to qualify for the qualifiers and obtain a token, it would be very difficult to rely on himself. He needed help. Even if he didn't have a strong helper, He still needed a strong lackey. If he was alone, it would be very troublesome. He might even be surrounded by the students from the other academies. Therefore, he decided to recruit Feng Hatong and the others as his underlings to strengthen his side. What? Hearing this, Feng Hatong was so angry that his nose became crooked. This bastard is really shameless and arrogant to the extreme. He actually wants me, Feng Hatong, to be this bastard's little brother? Dream on. He was the son of a Tianshui city councilor and the boss of Xinbua Middle School. He had countless followers. It had always been others who relied on him and became his underling. When had he ever been someone else's underling? Wasn't this a joke? If you don't want to, then forget it. I won't torture you anymore because I have no interest in it. Seeing the indignant looks on Feng Hatong and the others' faces, Xia Ping waved his hand. But I will imprison you in the basement of this building for 3 days. I hope you are lucky and someone will rescue you before the end of the competition. After saying that, he wanted to tie up all these people. Wait, big brother, I agree. Hearing this, Feng Hatong and the others were scared half to death. They quickly agreed, for fear that they would be a step late and be imprisoned in the basement by Xia Ping. If this bastard really did this, then they would have participated in this high school fighting competition in vain. If they were imprisoned in the basement, who could save them? Once these 3 days were over, they would return to their respective families and would inevitably be scolded by their family elders. At that time, their future would be over, and their families would no longer have resources to invest in them. This bastard also saw through this and knew that they had a special reason to participate in the high school fighting competition. It was impossible to be imprisoned forever, so he made such a threat. Agreed. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Let me say this in advance. I am not the kind of person who likes to force people. If you refuse, I won't have any objections. Scoundrel, this is forcing me. Feng Hatong and the others were so angry that smoke almost came out of their heads. If they didn't agree, then he would imprison them in the basement for 3 days. If this wasn't forcing, then what was? And he said he didn't like to force people, shameless to the extreme. Also, this bastard's words just now were clearly a threat. No, this is all of our own accord. Yeah, how is this forcing? To be Big Brother's underlings, we are more than happy. This is our honor. If you have any orders, just tell us. We will do whatever you want. I promise we won't refuse. Feng Hatong and the others were extremely sullen. They went against their own hearts and said these words that made them want to vomit. As young masters, when had they ever bowed to a small commoner like this? This had never happened before. But people had to bow under eaves. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only listen to this bastard's orders. After all, who asked him to have a bigger fist? Of course. Xia Ping said modestly. I didn't expect you all to be so willing to be my underlings. I'm really embarrassed. Then I will respectfully accept. Continue to pretend. Feng Hatong and the others were so angry that their teeth were itching. When they thought that they would be ordered around by this bastard like a little brother, they felt extremely sullen. Very well, if that's the case, then I have to tell you some rules. Xia Ping was very satisfied. If any of you dare to refute me or try to disobey my orders, then I will definitely not forgive you. I will beat you to death. He stared at Feng Hatong and the others with murderous eyes and used his mental strength to suppress them. Yes. Immediately, Feng Hatong and the others were stunned. They felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them, shaking their souls and making their bodies tremble. This was an instinctive fear that came from their bodies. Immediately, some of these people's little thoughts were extinguished. Just now they had joined hands and were beaten to a pulp. If they provoked this demon again, they were afraid that they would not be able to bear the consequences. If they didn't have absolute confidence, they would not casually make a move. Very well. Xia Ping smiled faintly. Then I will give you the first order. Immediately find a large truck and search for all the food in the nearby areas. What? Chapter 123. Strange, what is that kid Xia Ping doing? It's indeed strange. Previously, Feng Hatong and the others had a grudge against Xia Ping. As soon as they came in, they started fighting. It was a fierce fight. Now these people are actually so obedient like little brothers. These people have all been beaten up. I think they've been taught a lesson. But why are they driving a truck and wandering around the streets? Aren't they afraid of encountering monsters on the streets? Can't be, they're looking for supermarkets, looking for food. What the hell, these bastards aren't looking for trouble with the monsters. Instead, they're coming to the supermarket to empty the food here. Are they crazy from hunger? The competition hasn't even started and they're already hungry. Do they really want to eat that much? Does anyone want to go up and warn them? This is a fighting competition, not a food show. The audience watching the live broadcast on TV all noticed the actions of Xiaoping and the others. They saw that they found 2 large trucks on the nearby streets and drove away with a rumble. They swept the streets and emptied the food in the supermarkets one by one. This simulation city was very realistic. Not only were there all kinds of buildings, but even cars, trucks, and other vehicles could be found in the shops of this city. There was even food. However, these things were originally a kind of support that the organizers of the fighting competition secretly gave to the participants. However, some people could think of it while others could not. For a few hours, Xiaoping and the others were on the move. They didn't look for the token, but drove the large trucks to the nearby 3 areas, crazily emptying the food in the supermarkets, leaving not even dregs behind. Then, when the 2 large trucks were almost full, they stopped moving and drove to a nearby villa area. They found a luxurious villa to temporarily stay in. At this time, the sky was already dark. I understand. On the live broadcast platform, a viewer suddenly shouted, "This kid is so cunning. If he empties the food in the nearby area, the others will have no food. Won't the other contestants be miserable?" That's true. They need to stay in this simulation city for 3 days. The energy that martial artists need to consume from food every day is very shocking. If they don't eat for a meal, they will be very hungry. If they don't eat for a day, they will faint from hunger. If they don't eat for 3 days, they will probably be sent to the hospital. This brat has snatched away the food. How can the other warriors have a share? He wants to starve the other participants. He is too cunning. How could he think of such a despicable idea? Hearing a member of the audience's reminder, the others also realized the treachery of Xiaoping's actions. Emptying 3 areas of food was obviously to starve the other contestants to death. After all, where did the energy in a martial artist's body come from? The answer was food. Only by eating food that contained a large amount of energy could a martial artist maintain the basic energy consumption within their body. They could even circulate the secret arts and convert the energy from the food into true energy within their body. The more powerful a martial artist was, the more energy they needed to consume. Some tyrannical martial artists could even eat 10 cows in one meal. Ordinary families simply could not afford to raise them. Therefore, there was the saying that the poor were scholars and the rich were martial artists. Of course, it was said that some martial Tao grandmasters had reached the state of Anidia and could devour the spiritual qi of heaven and earth as energy in their bodies. They no longer needed to eat the food of ordinary people and could go without food for 100 days. However, it was clear that these high school contestants had yet to reach such a level. They needed to consume large amounts of food every day. This kid is too smart. No wonder he didn't go to snatch the token but to plunder food. The history books have also said that in the post-apocalyptic world, food is the most important thing to survive. Whoever controls the food will have the right to speak. This kid really knows the essence of it. The other contestants are miserable. Without the food, even if they get the token, they will starve to death. After all, they still have to survive in this city for 3 days. Many people in the audience were talking about it. However, there were also people who refuted. It is indeed amazing to control the food, but it will also anger the other contestants. If the other contestants know about this, they will unite and this kid will suffer. Indeed, I think this is a bad move. Plundering a large amount of food, not only will it not starve the other contestants, but it will also anger them. I'm afraid they will be besieged. Even if this Xiaoping is powerful, can he withstand the anger of so many contestants? Not necessarily. This kid can think of emptying the food, but did he not think of this? I think he has other plans. Let's wait and see. Many of the audience were discussing. They didn't know what Xiaoping's intention was. After all, it was not easy to monopolize so much food. With food, he would be a rich man, a fat sheep. With guns, he would be a warlord. With food, he would be an overlord, a hero. At this time in the villa, Feng Hatong and the others had a strange expression. They couldn't understand why Xiaoping would do such a stupid thing. Plundering all the food would anger the other contestants. If the other contestants united, they were afraid that Xiaoping would not be able to bear the consequences. Big brother, you plunder all the food in the 3 nearby areas. You didn't even leave any residue. If the others know about this, I'm afraid it will cause a big problem. Feng Hatong cautiously advised. What big problem? Xiaoping blinked his eyes. Feng Hatong hesitated for a moment and said, it may anger the other contestants. They will come looking for trouble. That's to anger them, Xiaoping said lightly. Of course he knew that by doing this, he could only affect the contestants in the 3 nearby areas, and it may not really cause so many contestants to get into trouble. But his real purpose was only to gain hatred. If he didn't anger these people, how could he get hatred? Even in order to let those students know that he did it, he also left a note in the supermarket. Of course he would not say such a purpose. This madman. Hearing this, Feng Hatong and the others were stunned. The reason for plundering the food was just to anger the other contestants. If this wasn't a madman, then what was? If the starving contestants united, they would have to face the siege of the contestants in the 3 areas. There were at least 500 or 600 contestants. Of course, not everyone knew this news. Except for some who were eliminated, there were at least more than 100 people who would come to trouble Xiaoping. But doing this just for fun was too crazy. Chapter 124. The sky gradually darkened. In the simulation city, many participants carefully walked toward the supermarket. Their clothes were tattered and there were even bloodstains on them. It was obvious that they had suffered a lot. From time to time, terrifying monsters would appear on the streets, patrolling around the city. If they were accidentally discovered by these monsters, they would definitely be surrounded and killed. The whole city was full of danger. Damn it, that monster is too strong. Of course it is. That is a one-horned thunder leopard. A monster with the strength of a martial warrior. Who can be its match? The organizer is simply sick. He actually placed the token under the butt of the one-horned thunder leopard. Who can get it now? Isn't it courting death to go and find trouble with the one-horned thunder leopard? Many students were extremely sullen. They originally wanted to quickly find the token and snatch it. However, who would have thought that the monster guarding the token was too strong? It was a monster that could rival a martial warrior. A group of hundreds of people went over. In an instant, they were severely injured by the one-horned thunder leopard, causing them to flee in all directions. More than a dozen unlucky ones were almost killed. Fortunately, the organizer was constantly monitoring and rescuing them. Thus, these students were saved from death. Even so, they were still eliminated. Even if the remaining people were not eliminated, they were more or less injured. Along the way, they were chased by some ferocious beasts. After a day, they were simply thirsty and tired. They could not wait to lie down and rest. There is no other way. It is indeed very difficult to obtain the token. I reckon we need more people to have a chance of defeating the one-horned thunder leopard. Let's go to the nearby supermarket to find some food to eat. I haven't eaten for a day. I can't fight on an empty stomach. A student said. His stomach was growling. That's right. I remember there is a supermarket nearby. There is a lot of food there. There is bread, hamburgers, instant noodles, French fries, biscuits, ham and so on. The organizer must have prepared it for us. Then what are we waiting for? I am already starving. Many students dragged their heavy footsteps and carefully avoided the ferocious beasts on the street. Soon they arrived at a large supermarket nearby. One by one they rushed in excitedly, wanting to find food. However, when they arrived at the supermarket, they were all dumbfounded. Holy shit! How did this supermarket become so clean? This morning I still remember that the shelves were full of food. Did we get robbed? Seeing the empty supermarket, a tall student's face turned green. Without food, wouldn't they starve to death? There's definitely a thief. Look at the ground. There's not even a strand of hair on the ground. It's even cleaner than your face. When you left, it was even cleaned. I'm sure this thief has many years of experience in this field. He's been to every place. A fat student's face was full of grief and indignation. Looking at the empty supermarket, he simply wanted to cry but had no tears. Other than the supermarkets, there was no other food in the entire city. No matter how powerful the organizers were, they couldn't hide food in every place, and it wasn't necessary. In fact, they only put food in the supermarket. They didn't have food anywhere else. Plucking the feathers from the geese, plucking the feathers from the geese. Which son of a bitch did such a wicked thing? He actually emptied the entire supermarket. Can he eat so much by himself? Isn't he afraid of being stuffed to death? Shameless, shameless, don't let me know which school's bastard did it. He actually ate to such an extent. He clearly wants to starve us to death. Could it be the work of a monster? It's said that those monsters are also interested in human food and occasionally eat potato chips. Eat my ass. Is it so polite for a monster to enter a supermarket? Even the cleaning was done. Nothing was left. The leftovers were all stolen. There was no waste at all. That little thief is an expert. Many students cursed and were extremely angry. Originally, they thought that they could have a full meal when they came into the supermarket, but who would have thought that the entire supermarket was packed away and nothing was left? Looking at the empty supermarket, their stomachs became even hungrier. Wait, a student exclaimed, there seems to be a note on the wall. What's written on it? His eyes were very sharp. He immediately found the white note on the wall of the supermarket. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Everyone immediately went over and surrounded it. Looking at the white note on it, it said, "It was me, Xia Ping, who emptied this supermarket. If you trash want to get food, you must be my lackeys. If you understand, come to the 8th area XX District XX Villa. Because there are very few lackeys around me. First come, first served. Beautiful women first." Seeing these words, all the students were stunned. Bastard. A tall student's nose was crooked from anger. Arrogant, too arrogant. He emptied the entire supermarket of food. He did such an evil thing and dared to leave a note saying that he did it. This little thief is too arrogant. To be honest, he had never seen such an arrogant person in his life. This was beyond his imagination. After all, which thief didn't steal in secret, afraid that others would know? But this bastard was different. He was afraid that others wouldn't know. Not only did he point out his name, but he also said his address. If this wasn't arrogance, what was arrogance? He clearly didn't put them in his eyes. He still wants us to be his lackeys. First come, first served. And he wants beautiful women first. A square-faced student said angrily, "What does this bastard want? Is he here to choose a concubine? Does he think he's a master or an emperor? We can only be his lackeys." Shameless to the extreme. This bastard thinks that he plundered the food, so he has something on us. We have no choice but to obey him. Obey my ass. If I really become his lackey, my name Feng Xiao will be read backwards. Brother, your name is the same even if you read it backwards. Don't worry about this. Anyway, that bastard wants to die. Let's fulfill his wish. That's right. He actually dared to leave his address. He really doesn't know what's good for him. Let's go to him immediately, beat him up, and force him to hand over the food. Let's see if he still dares to be so arrogant. Plundering the entire supermarket of food. He wants to anger everyone. No one can tolerate him. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and find trouble with that bastard. Don't let others beat us to it. The group of students was so angry that their noses were crooked. He robbed the entire supermarket of food and wanted them to be this bastard's lackeys. No one could tolerate such a thing. Chapter 125. When these people left the supermarket and walked towards the villa, they met another group of people. This group of people seemed to be moving in the same direction as them. A tall student kindly reminded them, "Friends, don't go. The food in that supermarket has long been emptied by a thief named Xia Ping. Even if you go now, it won't help. You won't even be able to find a hair." What? Hearing this, the student opposite was also very shocked. No way, the supermarket in your 8th area was also emptied by that bastard Xia Ping? He didn't even leave any food. Suddenly, the contestants in the 8th area were also very depressed. They looked at these students and asked, "Listening to your tone, you don't seem to be contestants in the 8th area? You were also killed by Xia Ping." "Of course not, we are from the 7th area," the students said. because the food in the entire area was emptied by a thief, causing us all to be hungry. We had no choice but to come to the 8th area to find trouble with that bastard Xia Ping. We traveled a long distance and carefully avoided the beasts in the area. Even so, several people were eliminated because of serious injuries. Finally, we arrived here. These people's faces showed sadness. If it weren't for the hunger, their combat power would have been reduced by half. They wouldn't have been so easily bullied by those beasts, causing several people to be seriously injured and eliminated. Did you also come here because you saw the note left in the supermarket? The tall student asked curiously. The student in the 7th area nodded. Yes, you can imagine how arrogant that thief is. He stole the entire supermarket's food and even dared to leave a note pointing out that he did it. He even wrote his address. And he's shameless to the extreme. He asked us to be his lackeys. Even his goal is the beauty. This bastard wants to take advantage of this opportunity to pick up girls. They were extremely angry. They all wanted to catch Xia Ping and beat him up. They wanted to see why this kid dared to be so arrogant. The contestants in the 8th area were stunned. They didn't expect that they were not the only victims. Even the 7th area was affected. It was exactly the same as them. As the saying goes, a rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its nest, but this guy even ate the grass near its nest. At this time, another group of people came in the distance. Some of them were also wrapped in white bandages. It seemed that many people were injured. They should have been attacked by beasts. Brothers, can I ask you something? A tall student came up to him aggressively. Do you know how to get to XX Villa in XX District? We want to go to that place to find someone. You're not looking for Xia Ping, are you? The tall student and the others were all dumbfounded, all of them looking at the tall student. The man was also stunned. That's right, we are indeed looking for Xia Ping. Is this bastard very famous? Don't tell me you guys also came here to cause trouble for him because your food was stolen by this bastard? The taller student asked subconsciously as he looked at the group of people. That person was even more shocked. How do you know everything? That's amazing. Their intel is really good. Our 9th region's food was taken away by a thief called Xia Ping. Now, everyone in the 9th region is hungry, and everyone is shouting that they want to find trouble with this bastard. He gritted his teeth, revealing his anger, and clenched his huge fists. The people in the 9th region were also extremely sad and indignant. In order to go to the 8th region, they also paid a huge price. On the way, they encountered hundreds of ferocious beasts, all of them terrifying. Immediately, 5 or 6 students were attacked by these ferocious beasts, seriously injured and eliminated. The rest of the people were also injured, but they just bandaged their wounds and rushed over without stopping. One could imagine how angry they were now. They could not wait to catch Xia Ping and beat him up. God punishes Xia Ping. The tall student looked up to the sky and sighed. I didn't expect that the contestants in the 8th region would be killed by him. Even the 7th and 9th regions next to us couldn't escape. How can he do such evil things? How shameless! He could be said to have been driven mad by Xia Ping's evil deeds. Not only their 8th region had suffered, but even the 7th and 9th regions had also been killed. God knows if there were other students in other regions who had also been poisoned by this bastard. If this bastard was not killed, then the students in this qualifier would never have a day of peace. Needless to say, this Xia Ping is a locust. Everyone has the right to kill him. Go and find trouble with him immediately. He actually dared to steal our food. He is asking for a beating. He actually dares to make an enemy of so many of us. He is simply overestimating himself. Catch that bastard and beat him up to vent the anger in my heart. That bastard wants to starve us to death. If I don't beat him up for half an hour, I will not be a human. Everyone was roaring, one by one filled with righteous indignation. The mighty, aggressive, rushed toward the area where Xia Ping was, and the ferocious beasts along the way were frightened and avoided them. And this scene was immediately seen by the audience, and the picture was transmitted to various live broadcast platforms. Oh my God, this Xia Ping is simply the best. He emptied the entire supermarket of food, and he even dared to leave a note, pointing out that he did it himself and leaving his address. What the hell is his brain made of? How can he do such a thing? He has provoked public anger. How can he still get away with it? So many people have gone up to find trouble with him. He has no life. It is estimated that he will be beaten up for half an hour, and he will be unrecognizable. Tomorrow he will have to go to Tianshui City, Meilai Cosmetic Hospital for cosmetic surgery. One by one, the audience is speechless, wondering why this guy can do this kind of thing. This is clearly looking for death. This Xiaping is really the best. Qiushue, the head teacher, was also watching the live broadcast on TV. When she saw this scene, she felt a headache in her brain. If she was on the scene, she would definitely grab the bastard's ear and ask him if his head was filled with water. Haha, I knew that this Xiaping liked to die, but I didn't expect him to be so stupid. Isn't it? At least hundreds of people are looking for trouble with him. All of them are elites. This kid will definitely be beaten up. It's great, finally someone sanctions this shameless bastard. God bless us. So God still has eyes, not no retribution, but the time is not right. Gao Wan, Yang Wei, and others who have enmity with Xiaping are all overjoyed, even ecstatic, and they can see Xiaping being beaten up. They are all excited. In the VIP room of Tianshui City, some big shots in the VIP room also saw this scene. All of them were speechless. They did not know how to evaluate this kid's approach. Obviously, this guy is good, but his head is filled with water. Interesting. Chapter 126. At this time in the villa, Han Shan and the others were monitoring the environment around the villa. Suddenly, they saw a large number of people walking towards them. They panicked and went to report. Oh no, there's a large number of people coming to our villa. They're coming aggressively. They're not coming with good intentions. Han Shan hurriedly shouted. He felt that the matter might have been exposed. Oh, it should be some people who can't find food. Xiaping was very calm because he already knew that there would be a lot of people coming to find trouble with him. Just now, the system prompted him to get a lot of hatred. He saw the increase in hatred and was in a very good mood. How could they find us so quickly? Feng Hatong couldn't believe it. When we emptied the supermarket of food, not many people should know. How did they know our address? He felt that this information had been leaked too quickly. It's very simple because I told them. At that time, I also left a note in the supermarket. Xiaping said lightly. What? Feng Hatong and the others were so angry that their noses were crooked. This bastard was definitely a madman. He actually dared to leave a note after doing such an evil thing. He was clearly courting death. What kind of thief stole something from someone else's house and pointed out that it was him who did it? Now they were being found by an angry crowd. How could they still have a life? Xiaping, get your ass out here right now. At this moment, a loud voice came from outside the villa's main gate, shouting towards the inside. There were also people desperately pressing the doorbell. Some of the students were even more angry to the extreme. They stared at the luxurious villa with green eyes. They had worked hard to snatch the token. They were thirsty and tired. They didn't know how sad they were. But this kid actually hid in a luxurious villa to rest, and even ate fish and meat all day long. How unfair was this? God was really too unfair. With a bang, the door of the villa opened. At this time, several people appeared at the door. It was Xiaping, Feng Hatong, Han Shan, and a few others. They appeared in front of everyone. What's the noise? Don't you know it's late at night? Can you afford to affect the quality of my sleep? Do you have any manners? Xiaping said discontentedly. He was holding a piece of butter bread in his mouth and eating it. Instantly, a fragrant aroma filled the air. A group of starving students immediately felt their stomachs bulge. Their eyes turned green as they stared fiercely at the bread, wishing they could immediately snatch it. What are you looking at? Have you never seen others eat before? Xiaping continued to chomp on the bread and quickly finished it, which made the group of students go crazy. Immediately, a tall student stood up and berated, Xiaping, immediately hand over the food you plundered and distribute it to everyone. You must also kowtow and apologize to us. Only then will we forgive your crimes. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences tonight. He glared fiercely at Xiaping. His eyes were very ferocious, like a wolf. Yes, immediately kowtow and apologize, then distribute food. A piece of trash wants to monopolize the food of 3 regions? You're courting death. If you don't kowtow and apologize, we'll beat you until you're half paralyzed. You have to know what you can take and what you can't. You have to understand the rules. A group of students shouted and stared angrily at Xia Ping. They were filled with righteous indignation and shared a common enemy. Feng Hatong and the others saw hundreds of aggressive students staring at them. They were so scared that their legs went soft. Being surrounded by so many people, they would definitely die tonight. Even if each of them took a punch, they would still have to go to the Western Paradise to see Buddha. Oh no, this time they were really done in by this brainless bastard Xia Ping. Following this bastard really didn't bring them any benefits, and they even caused a lot of trouble. Feng Hatong and the others wanted to run away, but now that they were surrounded by so many people, even if they wanted to escape, it was impossible. Xia Ping. The tall student stared at Xia Ping arrogantly and looked down at him. He clenched his huge fist and said, "Get over here immediately, kowtow to me and pass through my crotch. Otherwise, you can't imagine the consequences. You want to monopolize the food of 3 regions? You're not qualified to be the king." Whoosh! In an instant, Xia Ping's body suddenly moved. Like a hurricane, he suddenly attacked and kicked the tall student's body. A huge force of tens of thousands of kilograms erupted, like a flood bursting a dam. With a bang, the tall student flew out like a cannonball, smashing into the crowd. 5 or 6 students were sent flying in succession, and they all screamed. In the end, he scraped the ground for dozens of meters and smashed into a wall on the opposite side. With a few cracking sounds, the cement wall couldn't withstand this huge impact. More than a dozen cracks appeared, and gravel rolled down. You. The tall student was horrified. He felt severe pain spread throughout his body. His fingers trembled as he pointed at Xia Ping. He couldn't believe that this kid actually dared to attack him. And what made him even more terrified was that he didn't know when this kid attacked. He couldn't react at all. Whoosh! Xia Ping crossed dozens of meters in a few steps and suddenly came in front of the tall student. He looked at him and said, "You want me to pass through your crotch and kowtow to you to apologize? You're asking me if I'm qualified? Now tell me, am I qualified?" With a slap, he ruthlessly slapped the student's face, causing half of his face to swell. On the spot, 2 or 3 teeth flew out, mixed with blood. Say it. Tell me if I'm qualified or not." With a few slaps, Xia Ping slapped the student more than a dozen times. Finally, with a fierce kick, he broke his left leg with a bang. The bone was broken on the spot, and it broke into 2 or 3 pieces. Ah! The tall student let out a shrill scream like a pig being slaughtered. He foamed at the mouth and his neck was crooked. He couldn't say anything at all and immediately fainted from the pain. "Speak, why don't you say it? I'm waiting for you to say it." With a few slaps, Xia Ping slapped him a few more times. Seeing this, Han Shan couldn't help but say, "Big brother, he's been knocked out by you. He can't say anything even if he wants to." Feng Hatong and the others were terrified. This bastard was simply a demon. He beat people up without saying a word. Even if he was unconscious, he still hit him hard. It was too terrifying. Thinking of how he had been tortured by this bastard before, he immediately felt a chill. "Xia Ping, stop immediately." The students were dumbfounded and glared at Xia Ping. This bastard was too overbearing and arrogant. He stole all their food and dared to beat their people in public. He was simply too arrogant. Chapter 127. You want me to stop? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at these students disdainfully. "You think you can force me by gathering a group of people and coming to my villa aggressively? Too naive. Why don't you think about why I dare to collect the food in 3 areas and plunder it, leaving nothing behind? The reason is very simple. I am not afraid of you trash joining forces. So what if you come together? I stand here motionless and let you beat me, and you can't make me take half a step back. A few ants gathered together, and you think you can challenge an elephant? You are a little too arrogant." He looked at the audience, exuding a powerful aura, spiritual force oppression, and the wind whistling. In the eyes of everyone, he was like an insurmountable mountain. Han Shan and others looked dumbfounded. They didn't expect that this kid was so arrogant that he dared to say such a thing in the face of so many people. Isn't he afraid of offending the public? I fuck his uncle for 18 generations. Who is arrogant? This guy's tone is boundless. We are ants. He is an elephant. This bastard is at most in the realm of the 8th heaven of martial arts. So many of us are weaker than him. He doesn't have much ability, but his tone is very big, and he dares to say that no matter how we beat him, we can't make him take half a step back. Who does he think he is? Is he a martial sage? Since he wants to die, let's help him and beat him half to death. Let's see if he can still be so stubborn. Many students were stunned by Xiaoping's words, and all of their lungs were exploding. In the face of so many of them, this guy was not only not afraid, but also dared to mock them face to face and look down on them. If they don't give this guy a little color to see, who will look up to them after this competition is over? Go kill him. A student roared. Immediately, dozens of students rushed up and surrounded Xiaoping, and Xiaoping stood in place motionless, looking at these students with disdain. It seemed that he did not intend to fight back at all. Bang bang bang. These people punched and kicked, attacking various parts of Xiaoping's body. They used all of their abilities, even using the profound mysteries of fist arts and ultimate arts. Their power was incomparably fierce. Han Shan and the others were dumbfounded. These people who came to participate in the qualifiers were at least above the 7th heavenly layer, 8th heavenly layer, and even 9th heavenly layer. All of them were elites of the school, tyrannical and unparalleled. Even if it is a powerhouse in the 9th heaven of martial arts, facing the attack of so many people, they have to flee. If they are a step late, they will be beaten half to death and directly sent to the hospital for emergency treatment for half a year. Whether they can be rescued or not is still another matter. But this kid just stood there without any intention of fighting back. But how could Han Shan and others know the power of Dark North's protective skill? This was a cultivation technique that made Xiaoping stronger the stronger he was. Strength of the same level would not be able to harm Xiaoping at all. Instead, it would strengthen his cultivation, allowing him to continuously grow stronger. When he was on Beast Island, Lin Bao, the leader of the Cheetah Regiment, who had a half-step martial artist realm, could not make him suffer any harm. After 2 weeks of cultivation, now Xiaoping has become stronger. The attacks of these students can only tickle him and help him digest the energy hidden in the depths of his body. How is it possible? Why is this kid okay? Nothing happened to him. After beating for a long time, a student collapsed because he found that the damn Xiaoping was still standing in the same place, motionless, and he couldn't even cause a scar on the other party's body. When their fists hit this person, it was like hitting a sponge. All the strength was absorbed cleanly, and they couldn't cause any damage at all. After beating for a long time, this kid was fine, but they were all exhausted. After all, now they have been hungry all day, thirsty and tired, and there is no strength left. I said long ago, you are just ants. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, calm and composed. Standing here and being beaten by you, I will be fine, and I will not retreat half a step. Recognize the reality, you are just waste. His words were like a heavy hammer, fiercely bombarding the hearts of these top students in the school. Which of these students is not a top 10 master in the school? They have long been used to being outstanding and used to beating people weaker than themselves. When have they ever tried their best to defeat an enemy? Moreover, the other party is not much stronger than them, just a powerhouse in the 8th heaven of martial arts. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. I am not a waste, I can't be a waste. Damn bastard. I don't believe you are really so strong that I can't beat you. Pour it for me, pour it for me. A group of students went crazy using all the strength of their body, frantically bombarding Xiaoping's body, their fists like a seal, exerting the greatest potential of their lives. But the gap is a gap like a chasm. No matter how hard tofu works, it can't be harder than steel. They beat for a long time, but Xiaoping was not hurt at all. Instead, the energy in his body was constantly digested, strengthening the true qi in his body, strengthening his physique and tempering his body. In the end, their strength was getting weaker and weaker, and they couldn't punch out a powerful punch at all. Xiaoping also felt that if this went on, these top students would have no effect on his cultivation, and immediately said impatiently, "After fighting for so long, you can't let me take a step back. I'm tired of playing this kind of game with you, get out of here." With a bang at this moment, Xiaoping made a move like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. A punch and a kick erupted with the power of tens of thousands of pounds. The destructive power was terrifying. With a punch, 5 or 6 students around were blasted out. One by one, they hit the cement wall and couldn't be pulled out. With a kick, several students were kicked away at once, all hanging on the big trees on the side of the road, and they had no strength. Get out! Xia Ping rushed into the crowd displaying exquisite fist techniques, one punch and one kick, all natural and extremely powerful. And those students have long been beaten up by Xia Ping, plus thirsty and tired, and their bodies have no strength at all. In the face of Xia Ping, how can they resist? One by one they screamed and were beaten half to death. All of them were knocked to the ground. This. Han Shan and the others were dumbfounded, because after a few breaths, these people who came to get smashed were all beaten to the ground like a pool of mud. There were even a few who were so seriously injured that they were directly eliminated. Hang these trash, hang them on the villa as a demonstration. Xia Ping waved his hand and ordered Han Shan and a few lackeys to hang all these people with ropes. Yes, big brother. Seeing this scene, Han Shan and the others were immediately in awe, as if they were gods. Chapter 128. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Soon, under the action of Han Shan and others, the students who were knocked down to the ground were tied up one by one. Their hands and feet were tied tightly, and they could not move at all. Then these students hung their hands in front of the villa door, like a string of gourds. Hundreds of students were hung up like this. How spectacular it was! And such a scene was also broadcasted and seen by countless audiences. Oh my God, this kid is too arrogant. He is clearly establishing his prestige. Hundreds of students came to look for trouble, but they were not this kid's opponents. Instead, they were beaten half to death and hung up in public. This kid is establishing his prestige, but these students are miserable. Being seen by so many people, it is estimated that they will lose all their face. They deserve it. They think that they don't have to pay the price for looking for trouble. Is there such a good thing in the world? Fart. Who was the one who started the trouble first? Many audiences saw this scene and they were all in an uproar and stunned. They have never seen such a scene before. Hundreds of elite students were hung up, which is simply unheard of. But in this way, the topic immediately spread throughout Tianshui City, and the ratings were also rising steadily. The staff of the TV station were all laughing. It is estimated that the ratings of this Tianshui City high school fighting competition should be the highest in years. This bully actually extended his evil hand to other schools again. It's too hateful. Is there no one who can punish him? He is actually allowed to run amok here and act recklessly. It's too miserable. It's fine if they can't beat this bastard. But they were actually hung up and demonstrated in public. This bastard continues to show off again. If this goes on, wouldn't all the high school students in Tianshui City be trampled by him, and let this bastard dominate? At that time, all the girls will be taken by him. Where will we get a share? When Yang Wei and the others who had been poisoned by Xia Ping saw this scene, all of them were filled with grief and indignation. A trace of sympathy arose in their hearts. They could empathize with the suffering of those students who had been hung up. Once upon a time, they were also humiliated like this by this shameless Xia Ping, but they couldn't do anything to him. Thinking about how the top students of the various universities were even more miserable than them, and even made a fool of themselves in front of so many people, one could imagine how many people would laugh at them in the future. All of them were gnashing their teeth, hoping that someone could punish Xia Ping, this shameless tyrant, and not allow him to continue being so cocky. But the night passed quickly, and no such person appeared. As for Xia Ping, he meditated and cultivated in his bedroom. He cultivated for the whole night. Just as the first ray of sunlight shone in through the window, Xia Ping suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a cold glint. He could feel the true qi in his body, which had been continuously strengthening last night, surging crazily. Boom! In an instant his ninth meridian was opened, and the true qi that was like a tide finally connected the ninth meridian, allowing him to advance to the ninth layer of martial disciple. Immediately, Xia Ping felt that the surging spiritual qi in his body was at least twice as strong as before. Even his body's strength, speed and reflexes had improved by leaps and bounds. His spiritual power had also been greatly expanded, becoming twice as strong as before. This is the ninth layer of martial disciple? Xia Ping clenched his fists, feeling the strength in his body to the extreme. The 9 meridians were connected, growing endlessly, and the meridians of the whole body seemed to be connected at this moment. The 8th layer of martial disciple and the 9th layer of martial disciple are not the same level of realm at all. It can be said that the strong who reaches the 9th layer of martial disciple is at least several times stronger than the 8th layer of martial disciple. Once the 9 meridians are connected and perfectly integrated into one, forming a wonderful cycle, the true chi can be endless, tyrannical, and several times stronger than the 8th layer of martial disciple. Only such a majestic true chi, filling the meridians of the whole body, can be qualified to connect the Baihui acupoint, promote to the martial disciple realm, and reach the realm of true chi. I didn't expect that after last night's refining, I suddenly broke through the bottleneck of the 8th layer of martial disciple. This is really an unexpected surprise. Xiaoping smiled slightly. He thought that it would take at least a few weeks for him to cultivate to the 9th layer of martial disciple. But who would have thought that after being assisted by those contestants, his absorption of energy in his body accelerated, and he finally got the opportunity to break through and was promoted to the 9th layer of martial disciple. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, he stood up and immediately used his fist art. Many phantoms appeared in the room, displaying all kinds of profound meanings of the fist art. It was full of vigor. There seemed to be a roar of dragons and tigers in the void, and the wind whistled. When a set of fist techniques hit down, the entire room was fragmented, as if it had been raged by a typhoon. What's wrong? Did someone sneak attack? Such a sound also alarmed Han Shan and others. They were all in the next room. One by one they rushed over to watch and immediately saw Xiaoping's room in a mess. They thought they had been attacked. But as long as they saw Xiaoping's fierce power last night, who would have the courage to sneak attack? Are they not afraid of death? It's not a sneak attack. It's just a little interest in practicing martial arts early in the morning. Xiaoping was calm and relaxed. He felt that his body was very happy. It seemed that every cell was cheering and full of strength. Being promoted to the 9th layer of martial disciple was really extraordinary. He felt that he was more than twice as strong as before. It was estimated that even if the powerhouse of the 1st layer of the martial disciple realm came, he might not be afraid. Of course, this is just a guess. Without a real fight, he doesn't know. As expected of the big brother, you started practicing martial arts early in the morning. You are so diligent. No wonder you are so strong. Feng Hatong was very skilled in flattering, and it had become a conditioned reflex. Xiaoping waved his hand and said, "By the way, what happened to those people hanging outside the villa? They were hung all night, and no one dared to save them." Feng Hatong said, "But there were 5 or 6 students who couldn't bear it and chose to give up automatically. They were saved by the organizers and now they have been eliminated." Speaking of this, his face was very contemptuous. They couldn't bear such torture alone. It was almost impossible to climb to a higher realm of martial arts in the future. It can be said that these people who abstain here basically have no future, and those martial arts organizations who are observing the fighting competition will also give up this kind of people who have no perseverance in the first place. Very well, they were hung all night, thirsty and tired. I believe they are also honest. Let's go out and see them together. Xiaoping waved his hand and immediately walked out of the room. Han Shan and others saw this and followed out. Chapter 129. Hello everyone. Xiaoping came in front of these people and greeted them. He looked refreshed. Good my ass. Hearing this familiar voice, the students who were hung up lifted their heads and glared at Xiaoping. They wanted nothing more than to pounce on him and bite him to death. They had been hung at the door for a whole night and hadn't eaten for a day and a night. They were beaten up by this bastard and suffered some injuries. One could imagine how miserable they were. It could be said that they would never forget last night in their lives. It could be said to be the most difficult night of their lives. If not for the fear of being eliminated and causing other martial arts organizations to have a bad evaluation of them, they would have given up the competition long ago. Xiaoping, what do you want? A student said sullenly. It's our fault that we came to find trouble with you. But how long do you want to hang us here? Do you want to hang us here until the end of the competition? Everyone looked at Xiaoping. If Xiaoping really planned to do this, they would immediately give up the competition. Otherwise, if they continued to stay here, they would only be tortured. Let me ask you. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, looking calm and composed. He asked, last night I went to the supermarket to take away the food. I monopolized it and beat you up. Do you admit defeat? He just looked at them, looking at them indifferently. Admit defeat. Admit defeat, my ass. When these students heard these words, they were all half dead with anger. He beat them up and asked them if they admitted defeat. This was obviously to humiliate them, but they also understood that if they dared to say that they did not admit defeat, they were afraid that this guy would definitely not let them go. This guy was forcing them to express their stance and lower their heads. What are you talking about? Big brother asked you if you admit defeat? You are not talking. Does it mean that you are still not convinced and want to hang here for a night? Lackey Feng Hatong shouted and immediately went up to point at them. Big brother, these bastards seem to be not convinced. Why don't we continue to hang them until they admit defeat? I think it would be more effective to drag them out and beat them up for half an hour. Pour some chilly water on them and I guarantee that they will be obedient. Han Shan and the others were also giving suggestions. Shameless lackeys. What a vicious fellow. His heart was too black. Why didn't the heavens strike these black-hearted bastards to death? They actually thought of such a vicious method. Were they still human? Hearing this, the faces of these students turned green. If they were really tortured like this, they would probably lose their human form. We're convinced. We're completely convinced. All the food is yours. Let us go. We know we were wrong. We won't dare to provoke you again. One by one the students wailed. They were completely convinced. Even if they were still unconvinced in their hearts, at least they were convinced with their mouths. There was nothing he could do about it. He had no choice but to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. It's good that you're convinced. I like honest people like you the most. Of course, there were some who were dishonest before, but after being taught a lesson, they all became honest. Xia Ping was very satisfied. He waved his hand. Put them down and tell them to scram. Don't let them ruin the city. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Feng Hatong and the others immediately took action and put the students down one by one. Are you letting us go just like that? After they were put down, these students were all dumbfounded. They didn't expect Xia Ping to let them go so easily. Xia Ping said lightly, of course, I'm a person who keeps his promises the most. I won't go back on my words. If I say I'll let you go, I'll let you go. He showed an indomitable look. What are you still waiting for here? Big brother has already let you go. Hurry up and scram. Do you still want to stay here to eat? Feng Hatong drove these people away. Hearing the word eat, the stomachs of the students present immediately rumbled. They felt exhausted because they hadn't eaten for a day and a night. They were really hungry. Can you give us some food to eat? These students looked at Xia Ping eagerly because the food in the 3 nearby areas had been snatched by this bastard. Even if they wanted to search nearby, they wouldn't be able to find it. And according to their current physical condition, they couldn't pass through the 3 areas. To be more serious, if they left these 3 areas and went to other areas, would they really be able to find food? Would there be some bastards like Xia Ping who plundered all the food? They weren't sure. Bullshit, you should be grateful that I let you go. You actually dare to boast that you want food. Why don't you go to heaven? You're a bit too greedy. Han Shan and the others scolded. Xia Ping waved his hand and stopped these people from talking. He said, you want to eat? That's not impossible. Really? Many students looked at Xia Ping eagerly. This guy seemed to be very easy to talk to. Maybe he was a good person. They might have misunderstood him before. Of course, I believe you also know that there's no free lunch in this world. If you want food, you have to pay a certain price. Xia Ping looked at these students indifferently. A student swallowed his saliva. What do you want us to do? I won't ask you to do anything too difficult. Xia Ping stated his requirements. If you do things for me, I'll give you food. That's fair, right? I'll give you a cup of instant noodles for hiring you for a day. If you do well, I can reward you with a piece of bread. What? Hearing these words, the faces of those students turned green. Fuck, they only gave him a cup of instant noodles for working for him for a day. Even the ancient Zhoubapi was not so stingy. They even thought that this guy was a good person for a second. In modern society, hiring an ordinary person costs $100 a day, and they were martial arts powerhouses and top students of the school. The value of their labor was even higher. They couldn't even get $200 or $300 a day. But this bastard wanted to hire them for a day with a box of instant noodles. and reward them with a piece of bread. What a joke. This method of exploiting people was already superb. What black-hearted boss could not compare to this guy? Moreover, hiring sounded nice. In fact, this bastard just wanted them to be his lackeys. He just threw out a bone and let them rush up and bite it. He was looking down on them too much. After all, they were also top students of the school. In the future, all of them would be elites of society. How could they agree to such a ridiculous and humiliating request? What the hell was going on? Why did someone agree so quickly? The group of people was dumbfounded because they saw a fat student immediately shouting, "I agree. Hurry up and give me something to eat. If I don't eat, I'll starve to death." Xiaoping touched his chin. Very good. Since you're the first to agree, there's a big prize. You can get 2 cups of instant noodles a day. He raised 2 fingers. Thank you, big brother. The student was grateful. Chapter 130. With the first one surrendering, it was only natural for the second and third to surrender. If they didn't want to be eliminated because of hunger, they could only agree to Xiaoping's conditions. Therefore, the hundreds of people who wanted to cause trouble for Xiaoping all agreed to Xiaoping's request and became his temporary lackeys. Then Xiaoping instructed Han Shan and the others to give each of them a cup of instant noodles as an advance payment. Suddenly, a spectacular scene appeared in the villa. Hundreds of students squatted on the ground and ate instant noodles. They all looked happy as if this was the happiest moment of their lives. Some students were still choking and crying. Oh my God, I never knew that instant noodles were so delicious. This is simply the most delicious thing in the world. A student looked up at the sky and sighed, tears rolling down his face. A student next to him was also very emotional. He looked at the instant noodles in his hands and said, "Isn't that so? Look at the soup, the noodles, the seasoning. It's simply the most delicious delicacy in the world. No chef can make it. I actually thought it was junk food and didn't care about it. Seems that was a big mistake." The other students nodded. They had been hungry for a day and a night and had been hung up in the cold wind for a night. They were already going crazy. It was an exaggeration to say that even if they ate tree bark, they would think it was potato chips. Not to mention a delicacy like instant noodles. Even exotic delicacies couldn't compare to it. In that case, we still have to thank Xiaoping. He was the one who showed us the value of food. Thank my ass. I want to cover this bastard with a sack and beat him up in a remote alley. If not for him, we wouldn't have fallen to the point where a cup of instant noodles is so delicious. He caused us so much trouble and you're thanking him with a cup of instant noodles? Why are you so cheap? I'm sorry, that guy up there is my classmate. He just came out of the mental hospital and came to the competition without taking his medication. But don't worry, everyone. Other than a little mental problem, he's fine. Damn, that's the big problem. What if he doesn't distinguish between friend and foe and suddenly beats up his own people? Many students were secretly discussing, but their voices were very soft. They were afraid that Xiaoping would find out. Otherwise, they would definitely be caught and beaten up. That was why he only dared to issue such a prison in secret, cursing in secret. This scene was naturally seen by Yang Wei, Gao Wan, and others who have enemies with Xiaoping through live TV. Damn Xiaoping. Let's see what evil things this bastard has done. Isn't that right? Originally, these top students in the school all came from good families. Even if they didn't eat delicacies every day, they would at least have 3 dishes and 1 soup. Now look at how Xiaoping starved them to this state. They even cried when eating a cup of instant noodles. If this Xiaoping becomes the boss of a company, I don't know how much he will exploit his employees. He just casually rewards them with some instant noodles, and these employees will be moved to tears and worship him like a god. Modern Zhoubapi, dig out his heart and take a look. I guarantee it's all black. To be honest, I can be considered a stingy person. I never turn on the air conditioner in the summer, and I use cold water in the winter to save electricity. 1 piece of clothing can last me for 10 years. When I go out to eat, I will definitely lick the soup clean. But this guy can't even stand me. This bastard is clearly squeezing his employees. He can't eat enough even if he works like a cow or a horse. This is not a human being at all. Gao Wan and others are scolding Xiaoping and despising this guy's character. If they were on the scene, They would definitely stand up and lead the crowd to resist the tyranny of this bastard. Half an hour later, these students ate a cup of instant noodles one after another, but it was not enough. It could only be regarded as barely recovering a little vitality. At least they were not as hungry as before and couldn't even move. And taking advantage of this time, they also bandaged the injuries on their bodies, and they could exert 60% to 70% of their combat power. As a martial arts expert, their physical fitness is extremely strong, and some minor injuries are nothing at all. In fact, the students who can continue to participate in the competition are not too seriously injured. If the injuries were serious, they would have been eliminated long ago and would not have stayed here. Well, since everyone has finished eating, let's get to work. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the group of students. A student blinked. Work? What work? The other students were also very confused. Of course, to grab the token. Xiaoping's eyes showed a glimmer of light. More than a day had passed, and people in the entire simulation city had grabbed the tokens from the monsters one after another. Even though the monsters guarding the tokens are very powerful, the students are not going to fight each other to the death, just to grab the token beside it. Therefore, as long as they use a trick to lure those monsters away, they can easily get the token. But it sounds simple. In fact, it is extremely difficult to do this. It requires extremely strong martial arts cultivation, calm psychological quality, smart mind, and other qualities to succeed. However, the students who can participate in the high school fighting competition are all among the top 10 students in the school. It is normal for them to be excellent, and there are many who can do these things. But don't think that the game is over just because you get the token from the monster, because there is a locator on the token, and any student will know the location of the token. Therefore, the students who know the location of the token will go up and grab it, and the student who gets the token will be besieged from all directions. Unless the game is over, there will be no peace. Only those who can resist the attacks of countless students and still keep the token are qualified to advance to the top 16. This is the overwhelming strength that no one can dispute. Big brother, I have investigated. Feng Hatong immediately went forward. Near the 8th zone, there are already 2 or 3 tokens that seem to have been taken. They are frantically moving to avoid the attacks of other students. Maybe we can make a move on these 3 people. Hearing this, Xiaoping smiled. The reason why he didn't kill these students and eliminate them was because he wanted to get the strength of these students to help him get the token. With so many people helping to surround them, the students who got the token will definitely have nowhere to run. Alright, we will make a move on these 3 people. Xiaoping looked at the many students. If we can get 3 tokens, I only want 1 of them, and the remaining 2 will be given to the 2 who contributed the most. I will not go back on my word. What? Hearing this, many students were tempted. The reason why they stayed to continue the competition was because they hoped to get the token and advance to the top 16. Before, if they only relied on their own strength, they may not be able to get a token at all, but if they borrow the strength of others, it may not be impossible. Their thoughts flickered. Although this Xiaoping is using them, why can't they take this opportunity to use this guy to get the token? Once they get the token, they will immediately run away, and this bastard can't do anything to them. All of a sudden, the spirit and appearance of these students changed. They were no longer as perfunctory as before, because this was a great opportunity. Devil. Chapter 131. SimCity in a remote alley. Damn it. Why are you chasing me so closely? A student with a buzz cut hid in this place in a panic. After he got a token, he was ecstatic, thinking that he could smoothly advance to the top 16, and he just had to wait for the end of the game. But he didn't expect that after getting the token, it was the beginning of the nightmare. Because this token has a locator system, every hour, it will send a signal to other places, letting other contestants know that the token is in his hands. If that's the case, he can avoid the pursuit of other students as long as he changes his position every once in a while. After all, the locator on the token doesn't always send a signal. The people nearby can only know the location of the token an hour ago, which also gives him some time to escape. Before, it was with his ability to quickly move, cautious character, and superb acting ability that he had been avoiding the contestants who came to attack him and was safe and sound until now. But who would have thought that he would encounter a person who was chasing him? No matter how he fled, He kept following him like a hound, and he couldn't get rid of the other party's tracking. Whiz! At this moment, a figure appeared in front of the student with a buzz cut, blocking his way. This person was Xia Ping. The locator of his tracking watch, coupled with the 10,000 miles tracking technique, captured the smell of the other party, and finally blocked this person in the alley. Kid, don't go too far. The student with a buzz cut gritted his teeth and stared at Xia Ping. You have been chasing me for a long time. Don't think that I dare not deal with you. The reason why you can still stand now is that I am worried that you will attract others. If you know what's good for you, get out of here immediately. Don't get in the way here. Although I can't kill people during the game, it's still possible for me to make you a third-level disabled person. Even if the referee wants to rescue you, it's too late, you know? He threatened Xia Ping with a grim face, squeezing his fists and his bones crackled. In fact, he is also quite confident. He is a cultivator who has the 8th heavenly layer of martial arts. Even among many contestants, he is extremely powerful. If it's just to deal with one person, it's not a problem at all. Who said I'm alone? Xia Ping looked at the student with a buzz cut contemptuously. After a few claps, he clapped his hands. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, silhouettes appeared in front and behind the alley. Some jumped over the wall, some jumped out of the windows of the nearby buildings, and some came from the entrance of the alley. They came in all sorts of ways. These people surrounded the alley in an instant. There seemed to be at least 100 of them. Moreover, each of these people exuded a powerful aura as they stared at the buzz-cut student like hungry wolves. Seeing this shocking scene, the buzz-cut student's face turned green. He trembled and said, "You've gone too far. We agreed to have a one-on-one fight. Why did you bring so many people here? You're breaking the rules, you know? If you have the guts, let's fight one-on-one." He was so scared that he retreated again and again, and his legs were trembling because there were too many people on the other side. There were hundreds of people, and each of them was at least a powerhouse in the 7th heaven of martial arts. If these people swarmed him, he would be beaten to a pulp with just a few punches. How could he be a match? However, how did this bastard manage to gather so many people, and they even listened to his orders? Didn't they say that the schools were full of competition, and it was impossible for them to work together? One-on-one. Yes, it is indeed a one-on-one. Xia Ping disdainfully said. It's you alone against a group of us. Choose, do you want to give up the token and be beaten by us for half an hour? Or do not give up the token and be beaten by us for 30 minutes. What he liked most was to bully others with more people. One-on-one. Did he really think he was stupid? Shameless. The buzzcut student was mad. Doesn't that mean I have to be beaten by you if I don't give up the token? Is there such a choice? You are too wicked and inhumane. Also, don't think that I haven't read a book. Can't I hear you secretly change your words? 30 minutes and half an hour are the same. Don't think I'm an idiot. Where was this a choice? It was clear that he wanted to beat him up by relying on the number of people. He was very angry. Yes, it's all the same. No matter what, you have to be beaten up. Who told you to waste so much of my time running around and don't know how to obediently hand over the token? This is an education of love. Xia Ping thought that this approach was full of benefits for him and a kind of sharpening. Education, my ass. Everyone was a student, a peer, and he actually wanted to educate him. Did he really think he was a teacher? Even if he was arrogant, he should stop. The buzzcut student was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Go to hell. As soon as the voice fell, the buzzcut student rushed over like a tiger and leopard, extremely fierce, showing the powerful martial arts cultivation of the 8th heaven of martial arts. A punch came bursting out with a huge force of thousands of pounds, with a whistling wind extremely amazing. He thought very clearly, to catch the thief, first catch the king. This Xia Ping in front of him was the boss of this group. If he could subdue this guy, he might be able to use him as a bargaining chip and quickly escape. Dare to resist? If the tiger doesn't show its power, I'll be a sick cat. Xia Ping's eyes showed a trace of cold light, and he suddenly made a move. Boom, the fist and the palm collided with each other, and a loud noise broke out on the spot. Ah! The buzzcut student screamed. He felt an unparalleled force passing through, extending from his fist to his arm inch by inch, and even penetrating into his internal organs. The whole person had no resistance, and he was blasted out, directly smashing out more than 10 meters. The people behind also knew this situation and stepped aside. Immediately, the buzzcut student was smashed into a mess, and several of his ribs were broken. How can he be so strong? The buzzcut student coughed up blood and looked at Xiaoping in horror. He didn't expect that this kid looked so weak, but he was so powerful. The power of this palm alone was like a flood breaking the dam, completely above him. Drag him down and beat him for half an hour. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, and he didn't intend to answer the student's words at all. He was just a defeated opponent. How could he be qualified to ask him? Yes. A group of lackeys rushed forward like wolves and tigers, beating up the buzzcut student. No, don't hit me, I surrender, I really surrender. The buzzcut student let out a shrill scream, as if his innocence was seized by a demon in his sleep, and his chrysanthemum was punctured. Boss, this is the token. Lackey Han Shan immediately took the token from the buzzcut student and respectfully handed it to Xiaoping, without the slightest greed in his eyes, because there were a few people who tried to snatch the token before, but before they could take a few steps, they were caught by Xiaoping. One could imagine their fate, and their screams probably resounded through the whole city. Very good. Get 2 more, and all the nearby tokens will be ours. Chapter 132. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and night fell. The news of Xiaoping leading a group of people to beat up students and snatch tokens spread like wildfire, causing countless students in the simulation city to be incomparably terrified. Have you heard? A bully is running amok in the qualifiers, gathering hundreds of people to deal with those who got the token. I also heard that those who got the token were beaten so badly, it was as if they had undergone plastic surgery, they were unrecognizable. Damn. Didn't they say that students in different schools don't know each other? How did that kid gather so many people? Could it be that this kid's charisma is off the charts, and with a shout, a bunch of people will bow their heads and worship him? Worship your ass. Some people guess that the bully Xiaoping must be a young master with a deep background and a very rich family. Before the competition, he bribed the top students of various universities to help him. What the hell, isn't this cheating? To do such a thing, if you have money, why don't you bribe me? Who told him to be rich and powerful? We can't do anything to that bastard. However, the most shameless ones are those lackeys. All of them have low moral standing, without the slightest bit of dignity as a martial artist. They are the most ferocious in beating people up, they are so ruthless. That's right, lackeys are the most despicable. For that little bit of money, they actually bend their knees to others and become lackeys, loyal and devoted. Don't they know how to constantly strive for self-improvement? Don't talk about them like that, maybe those people are sick. Those bastards definitely won't have a good ending sooner or later. Someone will take care of them. A group of students discussed animatedly. They were extremely sad and indignant. All of them hated the bully Xiaoping, and at the same time hated those lackeys who helped the tyrant even more. After all, that bastard Xiaoping only gave the order, but the real ones were those lackeys. I also heard from the contestants from Zhengde High School and 88 High School that Xiaoping is a famous bully in their area, and everyone has the right to punish him. A student gritted his teeth. He is a little tyrant in school, bullying men and women, extorting good people. Who knows how many students have been killed by him, and they curse him behind his back? What's more hateful is that he likes to play with women. I don't know how many female high school students have been harmed by him. I heard that more than a dozen of them are pregnant. Those girls want to have an abortion, but he won't pay. He also revealed a lot of gossip that he had heard from other people. Beast. Hearing this, a student was dumbfounded. It's fine if he plays with women, but how can he be such a scumbag? Didn't they say that he's a nouveau riche? So what if he's a tycoon? It's not like I haven't seen stingy tycoons before. Another student said disdainfully, I heard that some of his lackeys worked for him and made great contributions. They were rewarded with a cup of instant noodles. What the fuck? He can even bring out a cup of instant noodles? Is he still human? And this was a great contribution. He's squeezing his employees dry, squeezing out their marrow. Damn vampire Zhoubapi. But those lackeys were also strange. They were all ecstatic as if they had gotten a great deal. That bastard's method of training his lackeys is too brilliant. I wouldn't believe it if he said it wasn't inherited from his family. What a terrifying family descendant. How can he be so powerful? Many students were dumbfounded. They couldn't imagine who would be ecstatic with a cup of instant noodles as a reward. They couldn't imagine such a scene. If we want to deal with this bastard, it's impossible to rely on us alone. We must join forces with experts. A student suggested. Someone immediately said, "Don't worry. Someone has already started to contact the students of Tianshui City's #1 high school. I think they will personally take action and call for help." At that time, this bully Xiaoping's fate will definitely be miserable. A group of people gritted their teeth, wanting to beat up Xiaoping's group. At night in the villa, the Xia family army, who had been fighting around the simulation city, beating up students and snatching tokens, had also returned. They had worked hard all day and were holding a banquet in the villa. In order to reward these lackeys for their hard work today, Xiaoping decided that each person could get 3 cups of instant noodles, 2 hams and a bag of potato chips. They could also drink whatever they wanted. There was a reason why he was so generous. This time, not only did he defeat many students, he also snatched back 4 tokens. It could be considered a huge harvest. Everyone has worked hard today, Xiaoping said to everyone. Without everyone's encirclement and interception, I wouldn't have been able to snatch 4 tokens. This credit belongs to me and everyone else. Of course, I won't go back on my word. I only want 1 token. The remaining 3 belong to you. He threw out a big pie. When everyone heard this, they were all incomparably excited. Wasn't the reason why they worked so hard to obtain the tokens? And now they finally had such an opportunity. Big brother. Before Xiaoping could say how to distribute the tokens, Han Shan, who was monitoring the surroundings outside, immediately ran over. His expression was very strange as he said, "Someone is looking for you outside." "Someone is looking for me? Who is it?" Xiaoping looked at Han Shan. Han Shan hesitated for a moment and said, "It's a student from Shilon High School." "What?" Everyone was shocked. Shilon High School students, wasn't it the famous female school in Skywater City? This school was famous for being a noble female school, and everyone there was a young lady. Usually, these young ladies were hidden deep in their boudoirs, and it was not easy to see them, but now they actually appeared here. Shilon High School students? Xiaoping touched his chin. "Interesting, let them come in." "Yes, big brother." Han Shan immediately went down. Not long after, 5 or 6 women immediately came in from outside the villa. Each of them had a beautiful figure, and their bodies exuded the temperament of a lady from a noble family. If they were placed in any big school, they would all be beauties, and could be regarded as the class belle. However, one of the women was extremely beautiful, and her body exuded a different temperament. It could be said that she was a crane in a flock of chickens, as if the light of the stars in the world had gathered on her body. Nangong Wu. Everyone was shocked as they stared at the woman in the lead. Impressively, it was the #1 expert of Shilon High School. Known as the Princess of Skywater City, Nangong Wu, the dream goddess of countless men. They did not think that they would actually meet Nangong Wu in this place. Humph, a group of stinky men. A woman in blue disdainfully looked at the surrounding gazes, as if she was very disgusted that so many men's gazes were gathered on them. Her heart was very unhappy. The other women from Shilon High School were the same, but they still endured it, because this time they came here with a request. "You are Xiaoping." Chapter 133. That's right, I'm Xiaoping. What business do you have here? Xiaoping sized up Nangong Wu. She was indeed worthy of being called the Princess of Tianshui City. Her figure was alluring, her figure was hot, and her appearance was extremely beautiful. Especially her legs. They were so slender that it made one's hair stand on end. Furthermore, her body exuded a noble temperament, like a white swan, giving people a different sense of conquest. When ordinary men saw her, they would probably feel that she was unattainable and unapproachable. "I heard that you plundered the nearby areas of food and didn't leave any behind." Nangong Wu's beautiful eyes looked at Xiaoping indifferently. "Our purpose here is very simple. We just want you to share some of your food." She was very direct and did not plan to hide her purpose of coming this time, which was to eat. Goo goo. At this moment, the stomachs of a few girls from Xiaolon High School immediately sounded out. Their pretty faces immediately turned red like a piece of rag, and they simply wanted to immediately dig a hole and bury themselves. As a young miss, she was usually elegant, so when did others hear the sound of her stomach being hungry? But there was nothing they could do. The food in the nearby areas had been looted clean by this bastard Xia Ping. Even the students in the other areas had heard the news and were afraid that someone would follow suit, so they actually emptied the food and completely hid. In this way, it was almost impossible for them to find any food nearby. They had been hungry for a full 2 days, and if it wasn't for their strong martial arts cultivation, they would have long been unable to bear it. As a last resort, even if these girls from Xiaolon High School were unwilling, they still had to come to Xia Ping for help, hoping that he would give them some food, unless they wanted to be immediately eliminated. Give me some food? Xia Ping laughed. I painstakingly obtained food. Why should I give it to you? He just looked at Nangong Wu and the others condescendingly. His eyes were very cold. What do you mean by painstakingly obtained food? It was clearly you who had evil intentions and plundered all the food in the nearby supermarket. That's why this happened. A blue-clothed girl said angrily. Another red-clothed girl also gritted her teeth. You got so much food, so what if you give us some? It's not like you'll lose a piece of meat. That's right, if you give us food and obtain our friendship, there will definitely be great benefits for you. Such an opportunity and you still don't grasp it, are you stupid? If I miss this village, I won't have this shop anymore. The girls from Xiaolon Middle School glared at Xia Ping with arrogant expressions. Even though they were half dead from hunger, they wouldn't let go of their arrogance. To them, asking for food was giving the other party a lot of face. It was a reward. It doesn't matter if I have ill intentions, or if I obtained it easily. In any case, what's mine is mine. You want me to hand it over easily? Do you think there's such a good thing in the world? Xia Ping said disdainfully, you guys are used to being rich young ladies, living a life of stretching out your hands and opening your mouths for food. Do you think that just by saying something, people will come to your door and give you food? Aren't you guys a little too arrogant? Your parents will spoil you, but I won't. He planned to teach these young ladies some social principles. Hearing this, the girls from Xiaolon Middle School were all furious. When had they ever met such a man who was so rude to them? Normally, when they went out, which man wasn't at their beck and call? Which man didn't flatter them? They were afraid that they would suffer even the slightest grievance. But now they personally came to his door to ask for food. They were so proactive, but this bastard didn't give them any face. He even said that he wouldn't spoil them. Who did this shameless man think he was? Alright, don't talk. Nangong Wu stopped the other girls from talking. She looked at Xia Ping and said, I also know that there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. If you want to get something, you have to pay the price. Tell me, what do you want in order to give us some food? Her beautiful eyes were very calm, but her words contained a strong tone. She didn't show any humble emotions just because she asked for food. It seemed that no matter what happened, it wouldn't be able to move her. Seeing this, Han Shan and the others all admired her. As expected of the princess of Tianshui City, she had the demeanor of a noble. She didn't show her emotions and was very shrewd. Even if she asked for help, she wouldn't be passive. Since your name is Nangong Wu, then it means that you know how to dance? Xia Ping rubbed his chin and said his request. How about you dance in front of me and make me happy? I'll give you some food. How about it? Impudent. As soon as he said that, a girl in red went crazy with anger. She glared at Xia Ping, as if she wanted to eat this bastard alive. The other girls were also like kittens that had their tails stepped on. They immediately went crazy. Who was Nangong Wu? She was the successor of the Nangong family, the princess of Tianshui City, and the pearl of Xiaolon High School. She could be said to be the proud daughter of the heavens, sacred and inviolable. Ordinary people couldn't even see her once. The number of people pursuing her could form a line from the east to the west of the city. Such a proud daughter of the heavens was simply a saintess. Who would dare to blaspheme her? But this bastard actually dared to ask Nangong Wu to dance in front of him. How impudent was this? If this matter were to be spread out, It would definitely cause an earth-shattering wave that would shake the entire family of Tianshui City. No, that's not right. This matter had already been spread out, because in the entire Sim City, other than bedrooms, bathrooms, and other private rooms, all other places would have high-definition cameras installed. In other words, the scene just now and those words had already been broadcasted, and everyone in Tianshui City knew about it. Oh my god, this kid is crazy. Who is that girl? That's Nangong Wu, the princess of Tianshui City, the successor of the Nangong family, a proud daughter of the heavens. Too audacious. He actually dared to ask Nangong Wu to dance in front of him. He's courting death. This isn't audacity, this is lust. This bastard wants lust more than his life. He offended Nangong Wu, offended the Nangong family. How could he still have his life? It's not as simple as offending Nangong Wu. Those suitors behind her would probably all go crazy. He dares to blaspheme the goddess. This kid wants to die. This guy is finished. If he really let Nangong Wu dance in front of him, he'll probably be beaten up outside. I guarantee that no one would dare to call the police. Tianshui City won't tolerate him. Chapter 134. This. When Feng Hatong, Han Shan, and the others heard these words, they were also dumbfounded. They also knew that Xia Ping was fierce, but they didn't expect him to be this fierce. Especially Feng Hatong. His father was a member of Tianshui City, but he didn't dare to provoke the Nangong family. After all, the other party was a big family in Tianshui City with deep roots and many henchmen. But this kid, he didn't have any scruples at all. He actually asked Nangong Wu to dance for him. He was crazy. Even in his dreams, Feng Hatong had never thought of such a thing. You. Hearing this, Nangong Wu, who originally didn't have any expression, was shocked at this moment. She came from a big family, and since she was born, she began to receive elite education. Not to mention dancing, she could even play the piano, violin, and other musical instruments, and even the eru. She was also good at painting and singing. It could be said that she had both talents and could be called perfect. But just because she knew a lot didn't mean that she would show it. No one had ever dared to ask her to dance in front of her, let alone in front of a man. After all, she was the princess of the Nangong family. She didn't feel angry, nor did she feel angry because this guy's words were too shocking. She had never heard of such things before. She only felt shocked and astonished. This kid actually dared to say such words to her. Was he courting death? Thinking of this, Nangong Wu looked at Xia Ping and said, "You want me to dance in front of you? Are you sure you can bear it?" Her beautiful eyes were very calm. This wasn't arrogance but the truth. Because there were countless people who pursued her, from all the big families in Tianshui City. Almost every year, a large number of people came to ask for her hand in marriage, but they were all rejected by her. If she really danced in front of a strange man, this matter would probably cause a magnitude 3 earthquake in the entire Tianshui City. Countless suitors would wail in grief, causing resentment. And this Xia Ping would also suffer unprecedented pressure. Facing the covetous eyes of the big families in Tianshui City, perhaps no ordinary citizen would be able to bear it. Some things couldn't be done and they had to pay the price. If you don't want to dance, then forget it. I won't force you. Xia Ping said indifferently. His tone was soft but firm. In this era, martial arts were flourishing, and martial artists were respected. Powerful martial artists could shatter the void, block nuclear bombs with their bare hands, traverse the void, and break the earth with their fists. This was the era where martial artists were called gods. Even the federal government couldn't do anything to a martial artist who was so strong that he was a living god. Although the martial disciple realm was just a beginner, once they reached the martial disciple realm, their status would be completely different. They would have all kinds of privileges in the federal government, and no one would dare to act rashly. Even if the big families in Tianshui City had great power, they would not dare to casually deal with a venerable martial artist. This was a profession protected by the federal law. Just by going out, there would be a bunch of martial arts organizations wanting to recruit them. An annual salary of over $1 million was nothing to him. And Xia Ping is now a martial artist at the 9th layer. Only one step away from breaking through to the martial artist realm. At that time, his status will be greatly improved, and no one in the entire Tianshui City would dare to touch him blatantly. He was even promoted to the martial artist realm at a young age. His potential was infinite, and he could casually join a huge martial arts organization. With a backer, these Tianshui City families were nothing. If he could continue to advance to the supreme martial arts realm, these families in Tianshui City could only look up to him. At that time, he would be a family by himself, and no one would dare to be presumptuous. Not to mention the princess of the Nangong family in Tianshui City, even if it was the president's daughter, he would never look down on her. Since you dare to say such a thing, then I dare to jump, but I will only jump for you to see. Nangong Wu was also stimulated by Xia Ping's tone. Since this man was so reckless, she would fulfill his wish. Not every man could withstand Nangong Wu's dance. Once they saw it, they would pay a heavy price. Let's go into my room, there's an empty place there. Xia Ping made his own suggestion. He turned around and walked towards the villa without hesitation. Nangong Wu's white teeth gently bit her red lips, and her beautiful eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. However, she was not willing to show weakness and followed Xia Ping. Soon the two disappeared from everyone's sight. Miss Nangong. The girls from Shilon High School were all shocked. They never thought that Nangong Wu would actually agree to this shameless man's request and dance in front of him. A dignified, noble and elegant princess actually wanted to dance in front of a lowly, shameless and dirty man. This was clearly obscene. Without a doubt, the entire Shilon High School, and even the entire Tianshui City, were greatly shaken because of this matter. But now they had no way to stop it, because this was something that Nangong Wu had personally decided to do. No one could stop it, including them. Awesome. Big Brother is really awesome this time. He actually let Nangong Wu dance for him. It's not as simple as dancing. The two of them even entered a room alone. A man and a woman alone. Who knows what will happen? Amazing, I'm completely convinced. How dare he do such a thing? Isn't he afraid of incurring public anger? Seeing this scene, many of the lackeys were dumbfounded. They didn't dare to believe their eyes. This woman was Nangong Wu, the dignified princess of Tianshui City, not some KTV princess. There was a huge difference between the two. She couldn't dance just because she was paid. What is that guy afraid of? If he was really afraid, he wouldn't do such a thing. Han Shan was completely convinced now. Thinking about how he was a rich second generation with a family's assets of over $1 billion, compared to ordinary people, he still wouldn't dare to do such a thing. Even if he was given such a chance, he still wouldn't dare to do it. This was clearly courting death. He was still young and a virgin. He didn't want to die so early. If he can escape this calamity, so what if I really call him Big Brother? If this kind of person isn't Big Brother, who is Big Brother? Fatty Fenghatong was also convinced. Previously he still had a lot of resentment towards Xia Ping, but now all of it had disappeared. Because this guy was simply a madman. He dared to do anything. That was the Nangong family. In Tianshui City, it could be said that they could cover the sky with one hand. Even Fenghatong didn't dare to offend them. If he offended them in the slightest, his dad would probably personally break his legs and go to their door to apologize. But this guy actually asked the princess of the Nangong family to come out and dance for him. Only he could think of such a thing. Without a doubt, once this matter came out, he didn't even need to do anything. A large group of Nangong Wu's pursuers would come out and beat this bastard Xia Ping half to death. However, if he could withstand this calamity and survive, then that would be a little terrifying. Chapter 135. This scene was also broadcasted so that the audience in Tianshui City could see it clearly. Even the descendants of the major families were shocked. All of them were dumbfounded. Oh my god. This kid is crazy. He actually dared to ask the princess of the Nangong family to dance for him? How audacious. If he were to become the emperor, it would probably be the end of the dynasty. He's definitely a fatuous ruler who messed things up because of his beauty. I found out. This guy is a student of Tianshui City's 95th high school. His family has been ordinary people for 18 generations. His father is a small urban management officer, and his mother is a street vendor. Awesome, this kid is awesome. Isn't this a toad on a white swan? And he didn't even pay. Sigh, his lower body is a waste of time. In order to have fun, he offended the Nangong family. His future is ruined. Many of the audience were discussing, and they were also shocked by such a scene. It was really shocking that Xia Ping's actions were simply unprecedented. However, for the ordinary audience it was just a shock, but for those who pursued Nangong Wu it was like a bolt from the blue, like a knife in the heart. That bastard is called Xia Ping, right? When the competition is over I will hack him to death. What ability does he have, and what ability does he have, to actually ask my goddess to dance for him? Goddamn Xia Ping, everyone has the right to punish him. Brazenly flirting with my goddess, shameless to the extreme. I have gathered more than 100 brothers, everyone is determined to die. Count me in if I don't tear this bastard into pieces. It will be difficult to calm the anger in my heart. A group of people clamored on the internet, some even planned to pay the killer to hack this bastard Xia Ping to death. They would not rest until they took his head. Even in some forums there were hundreds of posts that wanted to kill Xia Ping, with at least tens of thousands of replies, more than 1 million clicks, and the crowd was surging. Nangong Wu's popularity on the internet was too high. Her appearance was beautiful, her figure was first class, and she was born in the Nangong family. She was a natural princess, the most perfect goddess. She had great popularity on the internet, and in the past 3 years she was chosen as the #1 woman who wanted to marry her. Such a goddess was blasphemed by a toad. Who could bear it? When some of the family descendants found out about this, they also went crazy. They immediately logged into their communicators and discussed it in the group. Damn it, this dog Xia Ping actually dares to blaspheme my goddess. I went to the Nangong family to propose marriage and even entered the door, but this Xia Ping actually dared to let Nangong Wu dance for him. I want to tear this bastard's corpse into 10,000 pieces. This is a slap in the face, absolutely a slap in the face. So many of us from aristocratic families couldn't even get Nangong Wu, but a commoner got her. I can't take this lying down. When that bastard comes out, I'll get someone to beat him up. I guarantee he'll be half crippled. Many of the disciples of the various clans were discussing fervently. They were extremely angry. They didn't even have the qualifications to possess a woman like Nangong Wu. They hadn't even seen her face, but she was profaned by this shameless Xia Ping. Whether it was their dignity as a descendant of the family or their face as a man, they could not accept this kind of thing. In a VIP room in the Tianshui City's government center, a group of big shots also saw this scene. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Many of the big shots' eyes were focused on a middle-aged man wearing a white suit. Their eyes were extremely strange, because this middle-aged man was the Nangong family's patriarch, Nangong Hai, and Nangong Wu was his daughter. Many of the big shots were very self-restrained people. Even if they wanted to laugh in their hearts, they wouldn't casually say it. But this kind of strange gaze, this kind of strange atmosphere explained everything. On the surface, Nangong Hai didn't show it, he didn't even say a word. But his face was black, and at the same time he clenched his fists. It could be seen how angry he was right now. But even so, he still endured it. The white-clothed old man in the conference center still didn't speak. He just quietly watched. At this time in the villa's master bedroom, there were no high-definition cameras around. No one could see the situation inside the bedroom. In this place, there were only Xia Ping and Nangong Wu, a man and a woman alone in a room. Come, now that there are only the two of us, you can show your figure to your heart's content, don't be shy. Xia Ping touched his chin and looked at Nangong Wu in front of him. Worthy of being called the pearl of Shulon Middle School, these legs, this waist, this figure is really not covered. If she was a model, she would definitely be a first-class model. Nangong Wu was uncomfortable being stared at by this man, as if this bastard's eyes had a penetrating light. Seeing her whole body from top to bottom, it was extremely hateful. If you want to see me dance, then let's see if you have the ability. Nangong Wu snorted coldly, her beautiful eyes showing a trace of coldness, and she made a move and slapped with her palm. Nangong family's unique skill, Fire Cloud Palm. Immediately, the whole room seemed to rise in a hot temperature, as if the air was burning, and her white jade-like palm contained terrible power. If it was hit by a palm, the whole rock would be torn apart. Although Nangong Wu is a woman, she is also a genius, and there is also the family training. She has already reached the peak of the 9th heaven of martial arts, and her strength is unknown. Those who can compare to her can be counted in the entire Tianshui city. Xia Ping had long been prepared. His spiritual force was always perceiving the surroundings. At the moment when Nangongwu made a move, he also made a move, slapping with his palm and operating the Dark North body protection art. Boom! Immediately, the two palms collided together, but Nangongwu's fierce and unparalleled palm seemed to fall into a ball of cotton, and the fierce and unparalleled force was removed cleanly, and the whole room was set off by a gust of wind. What? Nangongwu was shocked. Although her palm was not full strength, it still had 70% to 80% of its power, but this kid could resist it so easily. Miss Nangong, so that's how it is. Don't you want to dance alone? Do you want to invite me to dance with you? Xiaoping looked at Nangongwu with a smile and reached out to hug her slender waist. One hand grabbing her hand and the other hand hugging her waist. This posture is like a ballroom dance. Go to hell. Nangongwu's pretty face turned red, and a strange feeling welled up in her heart. This bastard is shameless and despicable. This man's big hand actually dared to touch her body and take advantage of her. She felt endless anger welling up in her heart. Boom, his left hand slapped again, the second style of fire cloud palm, fire snake spitting. Its angle was extremely tricky and ruthless, unpredictable, and extremely fast like a poisonous snake, containing the power of extreme femininity, which was completely different from the previous fierce palm. If you are hit, it is estimated that even a strong external expert who is proficient in thwart kung fu can't resist it, and your lungs will be seriously injured. Chapter 136. Boom! Xiaoping didn't dodge and let Nangongwu's palm hit him. Immediately, this palm broke out with a loud sound, and the terrifying force penetrated in. But it still couldn't break the defense of Dark North body protection technique, and was easily resisted. How is this possible? Nangongwu couldn't believe it. Even the peak powerhouse of the ninth heaven of martial arts realm didn't dare to take her palm. One palm could seriously injure the other party, and even the stone would turn into powder. But this guy just took his palm strike head-on, and nothing happened to him. This was simply unimaginable. Asshole, I don't believe you are really that strong. Nangongwu gritted her teeth, and with a whoosh she kicked her foot, which was extremely fierce and contained the power of 10,000 pounds. Her slender waist contained explosive power, which was extremely amazing. Snake fist python wrapping rabbit. With a whoosh, Xiaoping's hands rose up, and his whole person was like a python, wrapping around Nangongwu's body, grabbing her hands and feet, and pressing her to the ground. The two were in close contact. Asshole, let go of me. Seeing Xiaoping's movements, Nangongwu was shocked. She was actually so close to a strange man and took advantage of her like this. She tried with all her might to get out. But this snake fist is a supreme trick that imitates a python to strangle its prey and bind the enemy. The more the prey struggles, the more severely it is bound, and there is no way to escape at all. Just struggling for a few seconds, Nangongwu was ashamed and angry, and immediately discovered that with her own strength, she couldn't escape from this bastard man at all. Xiaoping! Nangongwu gritted her teeth and stared at Xiaoping with her beautiful eyes. What the hell do you want to do to me? Hurry up and get off me. She has never been so intimate with a man in her life, even the people in her family. Not to mention being pressed to the ground by a man like this scene is really too much. What do I want to do? What do you think? Xiaoping said with a smile. Now a man and a woman are alone in a room. What do you think I can do here? He looked up and down at Nangongwu's figure with bad intentions. You. Immediately, Nangongwu thought of the dangerous aspects of this man. The reason why she had fearlessly followed this man into this room was because she had absolute confidence in her own strength. No matter what happened, she was confident that she could guarantee her safety. But who would have thought that this bastard was even more powerful than she had imagined, subduing her in an instant? Even now he was pressed to the ground, unable to move at all. It would be a piece of cake for this bastard to do anything to him. It was over. She had fallen into a wolf's den. I advise you not to act recklessly. As long as I scream loudly outside, someone will definitely come in and deal with you. Don't make a mistake. Nangongwu bit her lips. Xiaoping didn't care at all. He just looked at Nangongwu and said, "All right, go ahead and scream. Scream louder." Bastard. Nangongwu was so angry that she almost died. Her face turned red. This guy had already seen through her weakness. If she were to shout, not to mention that no one would come in, her reputation would be ruined. The next day there would definitely be a lot of rumors, and the Nangong family would be humiliated. Originally, after she entered the room, she would subdue this guy. To capture the thief, first capture the king. As long as she could control this bastard and threaten him, wouldn't it be easy to obtain food? But this bastard's strength was completely beyond her imagination. Even if she used the fire cloud palm, she was still no match for this man. She was even unscathed after taking a palm strike. If you do anything to me, the Nangong family won't let you go. Do you understand? Moreover, your actions are a crime. You will be arrested and put in jail. Nangong Wu patiently guided Xiaoping, hoping that he wouldn't go astray and let her go. Her pretty face turned red, and she twisted her graceful waist. But no matter what she did, this bastard's body was still firmly stuck to her. She couldn't break free no matter what. Don't worry, I won't do anything to you. I, Xiaoping, haven't reached the point where I'm so hungry that I can't be choosy. Xiaoping smiled slightly and enjoyed Nangong Wu's expression, thinking about how this girl was so arrogant and aloof before, but now she was begging for mercy. This kind of expression was very interesting. Hungry that I can't be choosy. When Nangong Wu heard this, she went crazy with anger. She glared at Xiaoping, and there was no need to mention how angry she was. This wasn't arrogance, but what kind of person was Nangong Wu? She had countless pursuers, and was known as the goddess of Xiaolan Middle School. There were a lot of people who admired her. But now this bastard said that she wouldn't be choosy. Could it be that she, Nangong Wu, was so weak that she couldn't even look at this shameless person? If she could, she simply wanted to treat this Xiaoping like a meat bun and eat him raw. If you don't want to touch me, then immediately let me go. I will pretend that this never happened. Nangong Wu took a deep breath and barely stabilized her emotions. She regained her identity as the princess of the Nangong family. There's no hurry. I still need you to stay in the room for half an hour. Xiaoping looked at Nangong Wu and said, after half an hour, I will let you out. I will even give you food. What? Hearing this, Nangong Wu was shocked. She didn't understand. She just wanted to stay in the room with him for half an hour, and she didn't need to dance. As a result, the other party gave her food. Could it be that the other party was afraid of the power of the Nangong family? Did he know that he was wrong now? But looking at this kid's appearance, he didn't look afraid at all. However, it was normal that she couldn't understand because she couldn't imagine that Xiaoping had a super hatred system. The reason why Xiaoping designed this plan was just to use Nangong Wu's popularity to gain a lot of hatred points. Obviously, so far the plan has been very successful. He could hear the sound of increasing hatred points from the system. If he waited for Nangong Wu to leave this room, he would probably get even more hatred points. When I get more hatred points, I can exchange for the second level of the Dark North Body Protection Technique, or even the second level of the 7 Arrows Technique. The more Xiaoping practiced, the more he knew the power of these two techniques. One was the Supreme Body Protection Technique, and the other was the Supreme Hidden Weapon Technique, which was extremely powerful. He didn't know how much combat power it had increased, enough to sweep away all his enemies. If there are still remaining hatred points, maybe I can exchange for some precious medicinal pills to help me break through to the martial warrior realm. Xiaoping's eyes flickered, thinking about the next step of the plan. Chapter 137. Half an hour later, Nangong Wu walked out of the room. Her pretty face was flushed red, and her beautiful eyes revealed a puzzled light. This was because in this half an hour, this man really didn't do anything to her. All he did was control himself and prevent himself from moving. Of course, this bastard would occasionally play some tricks to take advantage of her, but it was very different from when she imagined that she might lose her chastity this time. Big brother, you're out. Are you done? Hearing the sound of the villa room, Han Shan and the others immediately flew over. They were extremely curious and sized up Xiaoping and Nangong Wu, who had just walked out of the room. These people looked at Nangong Wu and Xiaoping with extremely strange expressions, as if they were gossiping about something. He had no choice but to gossip. After all, the two of them were alone in the room, so it was normal for something to happen. One of them was the princess of Tianshui City, the pearl of the Nangong family, so it was impossible for him not to be curious. Yes, it's done. I'm very satisfied with her service. Xiaoping nodded. Go over immediately and give them some food. Don't neglect them, understand? He put on a calm and collected look. Service? What kind of service was this? How could this stingy bastard be so generous? He even told them not to slight him. Han Shan and the others were stunned. Images that were not suitable for children kept appearing in their minds. Miss Nangong, are you all right? At this time, a group of girls from Shilon Middle School quickly ran up to Nangong Wu. At the same time, they looked at Xiaoping with vigilance, as if they were looking at a pest in the world. If not for the group of lackeys beside them, they would definitely have rushed up and beaten Xiaoping up. I'm fine. Nangong Wu's tone was indifferent. She took a step forward, and with a snap, she twisted her ankle and almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, she held onto the white wall beside her and didn't fall. Miss Nangong. A group of girls rushed forward and exclaimed. Nangong Wu glared at Xiaoping angrily. She was extremely embarrassed. Just now it was this bastard who used too much strength and didn't move for almost half an hour. This caused the blood in her body to be impeded and her legs to be numb. That was why she couldn't stand steadily. Sorry, I was too strong just now. I'll be more careful next time. Xiaoping also recalled what had just happened. Next time? There will be no next time. Nangong Wu glared at Xiaoping with her beautiful eyes, as if saying, don't ever fall into my hands again. Otherwise, I'll definitely make you pay. She had completely remembered this grudge. She had never suffered such a loss before. Too much strength. Hearing these words, Han Shan and the others were all shocked to the point of dizziness, and their minds almost short-circuited. She was just entering the room to dance, so why did Xiaoping have to use so much force? What exactly did this bastard Xiaoping do to Nangong Wu? The expressions of some of the students immediately changed. They thought about it carefully and were extremely frightened. When they thought about Nangong Wu's appearance, expression, and movements, it seemed like they had imagined the truth. This scene was also clearly transmitted to thousands of households in Tianshui City by high-definition cameras. The netizens on some live broadcast platforms were all in an uproar and shocked, like boiling lava. It's over, it's over. My goddess is completely finished. She's been tarnished by this shameless Xiaoping. A netizen wailed on the internet, crying bitterly. He had suffered a great blow and wanted to jump off a building. However, there were also people who didn't believe it and shouted crazily, impossible, this kind of thing is impossible. This is an illusion, it must be an illusion. How could such a thing happen? Wake up, brother. What's done is done, and what's done is done. The two of them entered the room, and a man and a woman were alone in the room. That beauty was Nangong Wu, and they just casually danced, and the two of them were like dry wood and raging fire. Dry wood, your face, why did it get out of hand? Don't spread rumors here. This is not a rumor. Didn't you see how Nangong Wu looked when she came out? Her face was red, her forehead was sweating, and her body was weak. Even her legs were weak. You can imagine what happened. Big brother, you're an experienced person. You pay attention to the main point. Indeed, I can see it too. Although I don't have much experience, I have a lot of theoretical experience. I've seen countless movies, so there's nothing I don't know. That bastard also said that he used too much force. It was just Nangong Wu dancing. Why did this bastard use force? Where did he use force? It's terrifying to think about it. They even stayed in the room for half an hour. That's half an hour. There's a lot of room for imagination in that time. I'm not bragging, but I can do it 10 times in half an hour. The big brother above is awesome. Every 3 minutes. There's no one else who can describe impotence in such a fresh and refined way. Woo, how can my goddess fall into the hands of others like this? There's no justice in this world. Can this world be saved? Everyone, can you still be saved? Can a toad really eat swan meat, or eat it for free? Countless netizens shed silk and carried out various theoretical analyses, speculating what happened in the room in half an hour. But the result was very shocking, making countless people wail and cry bitterly. Especially when they imagined that a goddess like Nangong Wu fell into the hands of this bastard. It made countless men despair. Complain, I want to complain about this shameless man. He's still a high school student, and he's actually doing such a shameless thing on TV. When can you watch movies live on TV? Is there any relevant department to control it? It's too lawless. Although the picture doesn't show it, the fact is obvious. He's only a high school student and he's already so absurd. How many women will be harmed by this beast when he grows up? He's already grown up. He's already 18 years old, how can he not grow up? He already knows how to play with women. I suggest the police immediately arrest this bastard Xiaoping, drag him to a labor camp for a few years, and lock him up with a group of gays. That's right, arrest him, and it's best to confiscate his tools. At this time, countless netizens were filled with righteous indignation and roared incessantly. All of them were full of hatred for Xiaoping, and they simply wanted to tear this bastard who blasphemed the goddess into pieces. Xiaoping had already provoked public anger, and was cursed by countless people. He had become a street rat on the internet. In a VIP room in the government center of Tianshui City, when many big shots saw this scene, they were all speechless. Although they didn't think that Nangong Wu was so easily taken advantage of by Xiaoping, it was obvious that something had indeed happened in the room. When a woman stayed with a man, no matter what, the woman would always be at a disadvantage. And some big shots who had conflicts with the Nangong family were even more gloating. After this matter spread, it was estimated that a lot of people would go to the Nangong family to propose marriage. Damn it. Chapter 138. The students of Wuwei Martial Arts Hall, Flying Pig Martial Arts Hall, and other martial arts halls, as well as the students of Tianshui City 95th High School, also saw this scene. All of them were extremely sad and indignant. Damn Xiaoping, he's not satisfied with the school bell. He even picked up the princess of Tianshui City, Nangong Wu. Nangong Wu, wake up. This bastard Xiaoping is a scumbag. He has stepped on more than a dozen boats. No, this is a bit wrong. Even if a woman is not reserved, she won't do that when they just met. I think these two guys have been having an affair for a long time. Indeed, I heard before that this Xiaoping is very skillful in picking up girls. His means are despicable and he even uses drugs. Maybe Nangong Wu has already been poisoned by this bastard. Shameless, he can even do this kind of thing. Isn't he afraid of the Nangong family's revenge? This scumbag must want to cook the raw rice and make Nangong Wu pregnant, so that the Nangong family can't say anything. Even for the sake of face, they don't dare to say anything about this. What the fuck? Doesn't this mean that the shameless Xiaoping will get what he wants and get both the money and the woman? This guess is very close to the truth. It must be that Xiaoping is eyeing the Nangong family's property, so he went to attack Nangong Wu. He even secretly drugged her and made her pregnant. How can he run away? Even if Nangong Wu is dissatisfied, she can only swallow her anger and compromise. As for the scumbag Xiaoping, he can obtain the Nangong family's wealth and squander it as he pleases. He can also go out to hook up with all kinds of women and strengthen his harem. Call the police. This is fraud. Cheating money is a crime. Why is cheating women not a crime? Does no one care about him? If such a person is in Tianshui City, how can the people live and work in peace and contentment? The police are simply a waste of our taxpayers' money. Yang Wei and others were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. They simply wanted to catch Xiaoping and beat him up. How could they be convinced that this despicable and shameless bastard's plan succeeded? They watched helplessly as this scoundrel not only didn't get taught a lesson, but he even started to hook up with the Nangong family and was about to become the son-in-law of the Nangong family. He would inherit the Nangong family's wealth and reach the pinnacle of his life. All of them were furious. Why could such a scoundrel be so tyrannical and do whatever he wanted, flirting with all kinds of beauties, while honest people like them had to be bullied? God was really too unfair. The homeroom teacher Qiushu was also very speechless. Although she had also heard of her student's illustrious reputation and that he was an out-and-out playboy, she did not expect that he would dare to do such a thing during the competition. He even broadcast it live, letting everyone in Tianshui City know about it. She felt that a person who could do such a thing was the worst. Fortunately, this guy would graduate in 2 months. Otherwise, she would have a headache on how to deal with this student. Xiaoping's parents, Xia Chuanlu and Huang Lanxin, also saw this scene on TV. Although they planned to travel around the world, They delayed it for a few days in order to watch their son's competition. My son is so awesome now. He even hooked up with a woman from the Nangong family. What's done is done. It's really the new wave of the Yangtze River surpasses the old wave. Xia Chuanlu looked gratified. It's just a little worse than me. Why do I remember that when someone was in high school, he didn't even talk to a woman? Huang Lanxin looked contemptuously at her husband's boasting and pierced his bragging in one sentence. Hearing this, Xia Chuanlu was immediately dissatisfied and shouted, "What you said is too contemptuous. Even when I was in high school, I talked to female classmates and had intimate contact." Is there such a thing? Huang Lanxin was very surprised. She knew how useless her husband was. Xia Chuanlu snorted and said, "During the school martial arts competition, I dueled with a female classmate and accidentally took a few punches from her. I was beaten black and blue and fell to the ground. Then the female classmate asked me with concern, 'Are you okay?' Then I wiped my bleeding nose and said it's not a big deal. Just like that, I had talked and had intimate contact with the female classmate, you know?" The corner of Huang Lanxin's mouth twitched, and she looked at her useless husband angrily. She was blind at the beginning to marry this bastard. At this time, Sim City. Nangong Wu took the people from Xiulan High School, took a lot of food, and quickly left the villa, without any reluctance. However, this matter was not over. Because this matter was too shocking in just one night, it spread throughout the entire Sim City, so that all the contestants who had not been eliminated knew about it. This was the speed at which gossip spread. Faster than the speed of light. At this time, in a luxury villa in a certain area of Sim City, if someone looks at their smartwatch, they will definitely be shocked to find that a total of 10 token lights are gathered in this place, which means that 10 tokens have been obtained by the people in this villa. There are also 10 people staying in this villa. They are the students of Tianshui City's first middle school. All 10 contestants who came to participate in the competition got a token. It must be known that students of other schools can get a token, even if their ancestral graves smoke, but every student of Tianshui City's first middle school got one. One can imagine how powerful these students are. It can only be said that it is worthy of being the best school in Tianshui City. It gathers the best students in the entire Tianshui City. Each of them has overwhelming combat power and they all have the realm of martial disciple. Qin Muyang, have you heard? A hawk-nosed student looked at a young man in front of him with interest and said, "Something big happened last night. It is said that Nangong Wu and a poor boy were in a villa alone in a room." "Shut up!" Qin Muyang roared angrily, glaring at the hook-nosed student, signaling him to shut up. A violent rage surged from his body, his aura fluctuated, and the ground beneath his feet cracked from the terrifying force. Kacha-kacha sounds rang out, and countless cracks appeared. This matter was known to everyone. How could he not know? Even if he didn't want to know, these news would constantly reach his ears. After all, who doesn't know that Nangong Wu is the woman he likes? She is simply his exclusive. But now there is someone who dares to touch Nangong Wu. That man is simply courting death. After hearing this news, he felt unprecedented anger, and wanted to tear that man apart immediately. No man could tolerate the woman he loved falling into someone else's arms. Very good. The hawk-nosed student smiled slightly and looked at Qin Muyang. Then what are you going to do? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Chapter 139. This news is ridiculous. I don't believe it. Qin Muyang snorted coldly. Even though he felt very angry, his rationality told him that the Nangong Wu he knew was definitely not such a casual woman. There must be wrong information in it. Yes, it is ridiculous. The hawk-nosed student also admitted. Nangong Wu is also not a woman who would do such a thing. But one thing is true. They did stay in a room, a man and a woman alone, for half an hour. So I am very angry and the consequences are very serious. Qin Muyang's eyes showed a trace of coldness. I don't care what they did in the room, and I don't care why that man did such a thing. In short, I am very angry. I hate that person named Xia Ping. I don't want to see him again. He did not hide his anger and disgust. Even if nothing happened in the room, such news spread, making him feel very unhappy. He could not tolerate this kind of thing at all. He wanted to beat any man who dared to touch Nangong Wu half to death. I also hate that kid. The hawk-nosed student also nodded. That guy is too high profile and arrogant. Relying on his little strength, he is in the limelight here. I hate people who are more in the limelight than me. I want to beat that kid until he is half crippled and eliminated. I want him to know that there is always someone better than him. I want him to be low-key in the future and not be too arrogant. His words were very domineering, but no one dared to question him because he had such strength. Even in the entire Tianshui City First Middle School, apart from Qin Muyang, he was the strongest master. He was at the peak of the 9th layer of the martial disciple realm, only one step away from the martial disciple realm. But it is not easy to deal with that kid. A tall student next to him, whose body was like an iron tower, said, "It is said that he has quite the ability to incite people. He gathered hundreds of people in the villa, formed an army, and swept the simulation city. I don't know how many students were killed by him, and even 4 tokens were stolen by that kid. It is not a problem for the 10 of us to defeat that group of shrimp soldiers and crab generals, but we will more or less be injured, which is very disadvantageous for the future competition." He more or less grasped some information about Xiaping. "Humph, he can gather his henchmen, why can't we?" Qin Muyang laughed coldly. "Let's go all out. Gathering hundreds of comrades nearby is a simple matter. That brat wants to bully us with numbers? What a joke. In short, I don't want to see him advance to the top 16. I want him to never have the chance to get close to Nangong Wu in this life. I want to teach him a profound lesson. He can't afford to offend just anyone, and he can't touch just any woman." His body emitted a terrifying baleful aura, causing everyone to shiver. The sharp-nosed student and the others could tell that Qin Muyang was really angry. He was like an angry lion. Once he was angry, there would definitely be people injured. Xiaping was dead. Moreover, with their ability, each of them could gather dozens of people and suppress a group of students, which was extremely simple. In terms of leadership ability alone, the students of Tianshui City First Middle School were not inferior to anyone. A few hours later, almost all the students who hadn't been eliminated from the simulation city were invited by the students of Tianshui City's No. 1 high school to deal with Xiaping together. The students of the First Middle School of Tianshui City personally invited us to deal with Xiaping, and all the 4 tokens they got were given to us. What do you think? It's that Xiaping from the 95th Middle School. These 2 days he's been like a thunderclap. He's caused a lot of trouble. It's said that even Nangong Wu has been hooked up with him, which completely angered Qin Muyang. This is a good thing, why not agree? I also want to see what kind of 3 heads and 6 arms Xiaping has. He even took down Nangong Wu. Indeed, we have to agree. Those people from the First Middle School of Tianshui City want to use us, and we also want to use them. We can take this opportunity to get a token. Moreover, that Xiaping doesn't seem to be easy to provoke. There are at least hundreds of people. Under the chaotic battle, maybe even the people from the First Middle School of Tianshui City will suffer. Maybe we still have a chance to get a token from them. That's right, who will win and who will lose is unknown. Even the First Middle School of Tianshui City may not be invincible. Many students were discussing. They each had their own ulterior motives and had all kinds of plans in private. In the blink of an eye, it was the afternoon of the next day. Xiaping stayed in his room in the villa and slept soundly. He slept very sweetly for a day and didn't pay attention to the undercurrents of the outside world. Xiaping stretched his back and felt that the sun was setting. He yawned comfortably and immediately heard the sound of system prompts. The hatred value continued to increase. What's going on? The hatred value seems to have increased a lot? Xiaping immediately woke up and asked the system. The system replied, "Last night there was a large amount of hatred value coming in. The host seems to have caused public anger. There are many people who have killing intent towards the host. Please be careful." How much hatred value has increased? Xiaping was too lazy to care about this. He only cared about how much he got. The system said, "So far, the host's hatred value has a total of 75,363 hatred value. Tens of thousands of hatred value increased? Now I'm rich." Xiaping's eyes suddenly lit up. With so much hatred value, he could exchange for the best quality medicinal pills and break through to the martial warrior realm. Once he reached the martial warrior realm, this hatred would be nothing. Who could do anything to him? In this world, strength is everything. With absolute strength, those people can only swallow their anger even if they are unwilling. They can only break their teeth and swallow it. If he was the son of the president with a deep background, who would dare to be presumptuous towards him? The reason why these people dare to be presumptuous is just to bully the weak. In the face of the strong, everyone has to shut up and keep quiet. Dong dong dong. Suddenly there was a burst of hurried footsteps outside. With a bang, the door opened, and then Han Shan and the others rushed in, their faces flustered. Big brother, it's not good. A large group of people is rushing towards our villa and surrounding us. Those people are mighty, at least 200 or 300 people. And their strength is not simple. The leader seems to be Qin Muyang from Tianshui City's first middle school. These guys are coming with ill intentions. Han Shan and the others said the information they had found out. All of them were extremely frightened. After all, they were surrounded by so many people. They were at a disadvantage. No matter how they thought, they couldn't escape. If they were caught by the other party, they would probably not be able to escape a beating and might even be eliminated. Chapter 140. Whiz whiz whiz. Hearing this, Xiaoping didn't say anything and immediately took Han Shan and others out, gathered his companions in the villa, and came to an open space outside the villa, very fast. Sure enough, 200 or 300 people came immediately, all of them exuding a strong aura. After more than 2 days of elimination, most of the people who could stay were elites. And these people were all gathered by Qin Muyang and others to come to trouble Xiaoping. Who is Xiaoping? Get over here and die immediately. A hawk-nosed student stood up and shouted. His voice was like thunder, shaking all around, and the sound waves rolled, showing the powerful cultivation base of the 9th heaven martial disciple. When Han Shan and others heard this voice, they all felt their blood boiling. There was a kind of sound wave attack and they almost had the urge to vomit blood. They retreated a dozen steps before they could barely resist the power of this sound. Everyone was shocked. This is the level of the students of the first middle school in Tianshui City. Any one of them has the strength of the strongest person in other schools, and they can't resist at all. Seeing the performance of everyone, the hawk-nosed student was very disdainful. Noisy fart, you have a big voice, you don't know if you usually scream. Aren't you afraid of being complained by your neighbors? Xiaoping stood up, glanced at the hawk-nosed student, and looked disdainfully at him. You. Hearing this, the hook-nosed student was so angry that his nose became crooked. His voice was loud because he had learned a sound wave technique. With a shout, it had the power to shatter steel. Even a ferocious tiger would be killed by it. In this bastard's mouth he shouted so loudly, but he could only scream. I'm calling you an egg, do you have a little eyesight? Even if you are ignorant and incompetent, you have to give me a limit. You what you? Xiaoping said contemptuously. A man doesn't learn any martial arts, but he specializes in learning some. Bed skills, this is a skill that women learn, you know? What's the use of men learning it? Big brother, it's still a little useful. After all, sometimes he doesn't necessarily like women. Feng Hatong smiled treacherously, looking at the hawk-nosed student with a very strange look. Xiaoping suddenly understood. Now that you mention it, it does make sense. Hearing this, Han Shan and others burst into laughter. Obviously they all heard Feng Hatong's meaning. You're courting death. The hook-nosed scholar was so angry that his head was about to emit smoke. He actually dared to mock him as a gay to his face. How could he tolerate this? He wanted to fly into a rage on the spot. But before he could do anything, Qin Muyang stopped him. He stared at Xiaoping. You sharp-tongued dog. Since you don't know how to speak, I'll teach you on behalf of your parents. Boom, as soon as he finished speaking, he struck out with his palm. High-grade martial technique. 5 ultimate killer hands. Immediately, the airflow in the air formed a terrifying palm. It condensed into a solid form and exploded with an extremely terrifying power. It fiercely attacked Xiaoping and the others. It clearly hadn't reached Xiaoping and the others, but a violent gale erupted in the air. The ground was torn apart by the gale, and dozens of cracks appeared. The ground shook and rumbled. Huh! Xiaoping's eyes flashed, and he struck out with his palm. With a bang, one of the gusts of wind was shattered, and he was unscathed. However, the others couldn't resist it and were hit by the gale. On the spot, 5 or 6 people were sent flying more than 10 meters away. Their lungs were severely injured and they spat out blood. This is the strongest person in Tianshui City's #1 middle school, Qin Muyang. He's too strong. He has almost stepped into the martial warrior realm. He's at least a half step to the martial warrior realm. Everyone was horrified. They had really witnessed the strength of the strongest person in Tianshui City's #1 middle school. With a palm strike, 5 or 6 people were as fragile as babies. It was almost the same as a powerhouse who could expel true qi. Even a powerhouse of the same level couldn't withstand a single blow from Qin Muyang. It was estimated that it wouldn't be long before Qin Muyang could open up the Baihui acupoint and truly step into the martial warrior realm. At that time, no one would be his opponent at all, and he would sweep the entire Tianshui City High School. Han Shan and the others' faces were solemn, and they were ready for battle. Qin Muyang's reputation was like the shadow of a tree. His reputation was not based on words but on fighting. He had suppressed all the top students in Tianshui City's #1 middle school to reach the top. This was the true #1, and no one could dispute it. To be able to block one of my moves, you have some ability. Perhaps in Tianshui City's 95th middle school, you can dominate and be invincible. No matter how arrogant you are, no one can do anything to you. Qin Muyang looked at Xiaoping with an arrogant expression. But this is Tianshui City's high school fighting competition. The elites of the entire city are gathered here, and the strong are as numerous as the clouds. It's not your turn to be presumptuous. As a weakling, you have to know what awe is. As he spoke, he exuded an incomparably powerful aura. It was like a mountain, lying on top of everyone's heads, and the pressure made it hard for the people around to breathe. This was the power of invincibility, and no one could stop it. What a joke. Xiaoping looked at the other party indifferently. It's not my turn to be presumptuous. Do you think you can be presumptuous here? You're used to dominating Tianshui City's #1 middle school. You don't even know how high the sky is. You have to know that there are always people better than you. There are many people in this world who are stronger than you. Don't annoy me, or I'll beat you until your parents can't recognize you. Towards Qin Muyang's words, his attitude was very indifferent, and he didn't put the other party in his eyes at all. Not to mention that the other party was a half-step martial artist. Even if he had just entered the martial artist realm, he could resist the attack of a beginner martial artist with the Dark North body protection art that he had promoted to the 9th heaven of the martial artist realm. With this tyrannical body protection art, he was fearless. Arrogant. Without waiting for Qin Muyang to speak, the hawk-nosed student next to him shouted angrily, "You want to compete with Qin Muyang? You are not qualified at all. I can beat you half to death, do you know? Die for me." He didn't intend to let Qin Muyang make a move at all. With a whoosh, he rushed out and actually wanted to rush over and beat Xiaoping. "You are not qualified to fight with Big Brother, die for me." Under Xiaoping's signal, with a few whooshes, 5 or 6 students rushed out immediately, all of whom had the realm of the 8th or even the 9th heaven of the martial artist realm, and suddenly surrounded the hawk-nosed student. Despicable. Seeing this, the hawk-nosed student's face was green. He originally wanted to fight one-on-one, but who would have thought that this bastard actually called a group of people to beat him? This kind of behavior is too shameless. This is bullying by relying on the number of people. Bang bang bang. In an instant, taking advantage of the hawk-nosed student's stupor, those who made the move would not be polite. One by one, they were ruthless and unceremonious, and they greeted each other. In just a few breaths, the hawk-nosed student was beaten to the ground. His nose was bruised, his lungs were severely injured, and he had no power to fight back. Chapter 141. Shameless. Seeing this, a student from Tianshui City's first middle school was furious and glared at Xiaoping. "You guys are bullying others with numbers. 5 or 6 people against one person, what kind of hero is that?" They all gritted their teeth and their lungs were about to explode. Before the fight even started, someone was beaten up and knocked to the ground, and it was someone from their Tianshui City's first middle school. Qin Muyang didn't expect this bastard to be despicable to this extent. He attacked 5 or 6 people at once. He didn't talk about justice at all. So what if you bully others with numbers? It's not an arena competition. If you have the guts, come and bite me. Xiaoping looked at this group of students with disdain, not affected by these people's words at all. What the hell? This Xiaoping is really despicable and shameless. He's even more despicable than the rumors. I want to beat this bastard up. Don't stop me. I'm going to cripple this shameless Xiaoping. Doesn't he want to bully others with numbers? Then let's see who has more people. We have at least 200 or 300 people. If we rush up together, we can beat him until he pisses himself in an instant. What nonsense, do it now. Hearing this, the people from Tianshui City's first middle school were furious. Being provoked like this, how could these hot-blooded students stand it? So. A group of people rushed up like fierce tigers. More than 300 people began to move aggressively. Han Shan and the others' faces turned green. This scourged Xiaoping. They had more than 100 people fighting more than 300 people. Wasn't that courting death? How could they be their opponents? But now even if they wanted to escape, it was impossible. They were all targeted by the other party. How could they escape? Follow me. Xiaoping shouted and took the lead to rush up. Seeing this, the others had no choice but to follow up. Hundreds of people began to fight. Bang bang bang. The people in front were immediately sent flying by Xiaoping with a few punches, but the people behind were still coming one after another. They were very fierce and had no fear. There were too many people on the other side. Soon Han Shan and the others were at a disadvantage and retreated. The people from both sides were mixed together, and there was no distinction between them. It was as if they were in a mess. Haha, these bastards want to fight with us? They're courting death. Everyone use more strength. Soon we will be able to beat Xiaoping and his group to the ground. The students of the first middle school of Tianshui City were extremely excited and shouted desperately, as if they were about to see Xiaoping being beaten up. Xiaoping rolled his eyes and immediately took out a token and threw it into the crowd. A student in white subconsciously reached out and picked it up. He immediately shouted, "I don't want to play anymore. I surrender. Aren't you guys here for the token? I've already given you all the tokens. You can take them." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Immediately, many people looked at the medallion in the white-clothed student's hand, and greed appeared in their eyes. If they could obtain this medallion, they would immediately advance to the top 16. At that time they would gain both fame and fortune. Who wouldn't want it? Oh no! The white-clothed student's face turned green. This wasn't a command medallion but a hot potato. Now that he had obtained it, he immediately became the target of public criticism. How could a command medallion be something so easy to obtain? However, it was impossible for him to hand it over. After all, it was too difficult to obtain this token. If he could escape with this token, he might be able to advance to the top 16. With a whoosh, he gritted his teeth, turned around and ran, trying to break out of the encirclement. By the way, I still have 2 on me. I'll give them all to you. Xiaoping made another move and threw both tokens out, letting 2 students reach out and pick them up. He had 4 tokens on him and now he had lost 3. Immediately, the 2 students who got the tokens were overjoyed. How could they still want to fight with these people here? Escaping was the best strategy. They came here to compete, not to fight. As for the grievances between the first middle school and Xiaoping, it had nothing to do with them. Damn it, that bastard wants to run after snatching the token. Hurry up and catch him. At this time, Xiaoping secretly hid in the crowd, fanning the flames. Shameless, we are fighting here. And these bastards want to run away after snatching the token? No way. The token belongs to me. Whoever dares to snatch it, go to hell. A group of people suddenly became furious and rushed up trying to catch those students. They came here to get the token. Now that there were no benefits, how could they be willing to give up? Stop immediately. This is all Xiaoping's trick. Everyone, don't be fooled, calm down. A student of Tianshui City's first middle school shouted, trying to control the situation. Tricked my ass. Who doesn't know that the people of the first middle school have already obtained the token? Of course we don't take it seriously. You just want to use us as cannon fodder for you. Xiaoping mixed into the crowd, shouting loudly, splashing dirty water on the first middle school. Which bastard, come out immediately. I promise I won't kill you. The student of the first middle school flew into a rage, trying to catch the bastard who wanted to fan the flames. Go to hell. Suddenly, a stone was thrown at him from an extremely strange and tricky angle. In an instant, it hit the knee of the student of the first middle school. With a puff, he immediately knelt on the ground, weak and powerless. This was Xia Ping's move. He used the hidden weapon technique of the head, nailing 7 arrows technique to seriously injure the opponent. Hurry up, this kid also has a token. If we cripple him, the token will belong to us. So what if you're the first middle school? What right do you have to stand on our heads and order us like this? Don't we other middle schools have the right to get the token and be the champion? Xia Ping also shouted loudly in the crowd. Listening to this, a group of students next to him were tempted. They came here to see if there was a chance to get the token, so they followed the people of Tianshui City's first middle school. Now that they could snatch the token from the other side, they naturally wouldn't hesitate. After all, they were not really the subordinates of the students of Tianshui City's first middle school. This place was the scene of the competition. Everyone was competitors. If there was an opportunity to not fight for it, it would be stupid. Snatch it, that kid has a token. So what if you're from the first middle school? You're not the only one who advanced to the top 16. A group of people rushed up and violently beat up the student of the first middle school. His clothes were stripped off and naturally, the token was also snatched by one of them without any hesitation. Guys, take advantage of this opportunity to cripple these people of the first middle school. When the time comes, we will have hope of becoming the champion. Xia Ping very insidiously reminded these students. Chapter 142. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Everyone stared at the students of Tianshui City's first middle school with a ferocious look in their eyes. These people were not only the favorites to win the championship, but they also had tokens on them. 09 Small Talk Net. If they could use the power of everyone to completely eliminate these students of the first middle school, then they would have a great hope of winning the championship. After all, compared with the threat of Xia Ping, the threat of these people from the first middle school was the greatest. What the hell do you want? Sensing the malicious eyes around them, Qin Muyang and the others shouted angrily, shocked and angry. Not only did these bastards not listen to their orders, but they also wanted to fight back. Go, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. 2 of them have already been crippled and there are still 8 left. If we rush up together, we can definitely beat them until they piss their pants. Xia Ping hid in the crowd and fanned the flames. When Qin Muyang and the others heard this, they were so angry that their noses were crooked. These bastards actually had this kind of idea. They actually wanted to cripple their first middle school and rob them of their tokens. Everyone's eyes lit up, and they rushed up one by one, wanting to beat Qin Muyang and the others up. No matter how strong these people were, it was impossible for them to be opponents of so many people. This was a rare opportunity. A group of ants dare to attack us? Everyone, let's attack together and destroy them. Let these people see the power of the first middle school. 09 Small Talk Net. Yes, it's just a lackey, and they want to fight back against the master, too presumptuous. The students of the first middle school were all furious. If these students really swarmed up, hundreds of them would probably be beaten half to death, so they had to make the first move. Immediately, 2 people jumped out and displayed high-level martial arts skills. They were fierce and unparalleled. Like a burst bear, every punch and kick contained terrifying power, showing the strength of the 9th heaven martial disciple. In just an instant, 5 or 6 students in front were shocked and coughed up blood on the spot. For a moment, everyone present was shocked. They didn't expect the people of the first middle school to be so powerful. They could defeat so many students with just a few moves. It was too fierce. Haha, a group of mobs want to deal with my first middle school? You are simply dreaming. The 2 of them burst into laughter, feeling even more disdain for these students. They charged towards the crowd and attacked repeatedly, knocking another 5 or 6 students to the ground. Such momentum was simply like a tiger entering a flock of sheep, sweeping through everything before it. Swish swish. Suddenly 2 stones flew over from the sky. Like lightning, they pierced through space, containing a terrifying force. In an instant, they arrived before the 2 of them. What? The 2 from the first middle school were having a good time. enjoying the feeling of beating up so many students. But at this moment their hair stood on end. Their instincts for danger surged. A great danger was approaching. However, even if they could sense the danger, it was useless. They could not block it at all. The two stones struck their dantians in an instant. A terrifying force seeped into their dantians and dispersed the true energy in their dantians. For a few seconds, they were unable to circulate their true qi, as if their cultivation had been dispelled. Go kill these two bastards. We can't let the first middle school look down on us. What's so great about them? Are they born nobler than us? After plotting against the two, Xia Ping continued to shout loudly. The surrounding people immediately came to their senses. Seeing that the two of them seemed to be unable to move, they were all overjoyed. They rushed up and punched and kicked the two of them. Ah! The two of them screamed like pigs being slaughtered and kept coughing up blood. But now that the true energy in their dantians was scattered, they could not exert any strength for a while. Damn it, they have an accident. We must save them immediately. Everyone, let's do it together. Qin Muyang saw that the two from his school seemed to have been plotted against. If this continued, he was afraid that they would be seriously injured and eliminated. For the first middle school, this was simply a disgrace. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The remaining 6 students from the first middle school, including Qin Muyang, chose to take action. They revealed the powerful cultivation of the 9th heaven of martial disciple. Like a tiger entering a flock of sheep, they planned to sweep this group of students and let them know what a genius was. The first middle school could not be defeated by a large number of people. Sure enough, when the 6 powerhouses of the 9th heaven of martial disciple realm took action, it was as if there were 6 more fierce tigers. Immediately, 20 or 30 students were shaken and coughed up blood on the spot. These people showed invincible power. Want to win? It's not that simple. Xia Ping's eyes showed a trace of coldness, and immediately there were 5 or 6 stones in his hand. First style of the 7 arrows piercing heart and bone. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 5 or 6 stones easily passed through the crowd, bypassing countless gaps, tearing the air with a strong penetrating force, and suddenly came in front of the people from the first middle school. With a few bangs, those people were caught off guard and the stones hit their knees. They felt severe pain on the spot and were unable to move for a few seconds. Even Qin Muyang was hit. They had no idea that there would be someone so despicable as to plot against them. Who is it? Which bastard is plotting against me? Stand up immediately and I promise I won't kill you. Qin Muyang felt that he actually couldn't use his strength for a moment. His face turned green and extremely ugly. He originally had invincible power, but now he was actually plotted against. He couldn't bear this anger at all. Go to hell. A few students rushed up, punching and kicking Qin Muyang. A punch solidly hit on Qin Muyang's handsome face, directly causing it to become red and swollen. A kick directly on his crotch actually directly hit a vital point. Another student took out a brick out of nowhere and suddenly attacked from behind. With a bang, it hit the back of his head, smashing the brick on the spot. In just a second, Qin Muyang was beaten miserably like a pig's head. Ah! Qin Muyang went crazy. He was extremely angry. This was simply a tiger that fell to the flatland was simply bullied by dogs. A dragon swimming in shallow water was played by shrimps. When had the dignified number 1 master of the first middle school been beaten like this? If it weren't for that despicable and shameless villain, he would not have encountered such a disaster at all. I won't forgive you, I won't forgive you. From the corner of his eye, Qin Muyang saw a despicable figure smiling at him sinisterly. This person was obviously that shameless Xia Ping. It was obvious that the person who had plotted against him just now was this bastard. Xia Ping, you're courting death. Qin Muyang was so angry that his nose was crooked. He wanted to rush over and settle the score with this bastard. However, with so many students staring at him covetously, he couldn't move at all. Several students surrounded him and attacked him, trying to snatch the token from him. Chapter 143. At this moment the entire scene was in chaos. Those who were fighting for the tokens and those who wanted to run away with the tokens were fighting each other. It was a chaotic battle. Everyone was an enemy here. Even those who didn't want to fight for the tokens were treated as enemies and forced to fight. The people from the first middle school were the targets. They were treated as fat sheep and attacked with all their might. Xiaoping didn't expect that his little scheme, hoping that the other side's allied forces would be in chaos, would cause such a huge commotion. Yes, it's time to retreat. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. At this stage, no one's orders mattered. Everyone was fighting for themselves. After this battle, at least 90% of the people would be eliminated. Even if they weren't eliminated, there was only one night left until the end of the competition. After this time, the preliminaries would be over. There was no need to fight to the death here. Whoosh! Thinking of this, Xiaoping's figure flashed in the crowd and secretly left the center of the battle. When Qin Muyang saw this, he was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He wanted to chase after that bastard and beat him to death. However, he was surrounded by a group of students and couldn't escape at all. The other students from the first middle school were the same. Because of the previous sneak attack, they were beaten up badly. They were instantly injured and some even had their tokens snatched away. This scourge. On the top floor of a building far away, the people from Shilon Middle School were also watching this scene. Nangongwu was speechless as she looked at the chaotic scene and Xiaoping who had sneaked away. She originally thought that Xiaoping was dead for sure. This time he would definitely be defeated by the alliance led by Qin Muyang, to help her vent her anger. Who would have thought that things would develop to this stage? Not only was this bad guy fine and retreated unscathed, but Qin Muyang and the others were unlucky. They were treated as fat sheep and were beaten up by a group of students. It was very miserable. It could only be said that Xiaoping's cunning had exceeded his imagination. Big sister, that bad guy ran away. Should we go and beat him up to vent our anger? A girl suggested and stared fiercely at the escaping Xiaoping. This time, the reputation of Shilon Middle School was ruined. The dignified pearl of Shilon Middle School was actually forced to dance by this man. This was simply a scandal. The other girls were also eager to try. No need, that brat is not a simple person. Don't provoke him for now. Nangongwu's expression was very calm. She thought about what happened last night. His full-powered palm strike landed on this brat, but that bastard was actually unharmed. One could imagine how terrifying this fellow's strength was. If he really erupted, he would probably not be weaker than Qin Muyang or even stronger. If they really went to look for trouble, not only would they not be able to deal with this guy, they might even be humiliated. She wouldn't do something she wasn't confident in. Count him lucky. The girls of Shilon Middle School gritted their teeth. They were very unwilling, but since Nangongwu said so, they had no choice but to temporarily give up. In the distance, there were also scattered contestants gathered around the villa. These people neither joined the Xiaoping coalition army, nor the first middle school's coalition army. They were all neutral. But seeing this scene they couldn't help but feel excited, and their blood was boiling. Haha, I'm rich. I'm really rich this time. I thought there was no chance for us to advance to the top 16, but I didn't expect this to happen. Wait until they're almost done fighting, then we'll go out and reap the benefits. I bet these people didn't expect there to be people lying in ambush here. We're the true victors. A bunch of idiots. Those tokens will definitely be taken by us. We have to thank that Xiaoping. If it wasn't for him, how could we have gotten such a chance? Break the first middle school's monopoly. Everyone discussed spiritedly. They were all incomparably excited. They had made a wishful thinking. When these people were almost done fighting, they would immediately make a move and decide the outcome in one battle, snatching all the tokens. Chu Rong and Jiang Yaru were among these people. They were scattered in different areas, but their tokens had all been taken by the first middle school, so they hadn't been able to find a chance. When they heard the news, they quickly rushed over. But they didn't expect something like this to happen. Both sides directly erupted into a chaotic battle, and the first middle school's coalition army actually killed each other. It was simply too dramatic. As expected, no matter where this scoundrel goes, he'll always be a scourge. Jiang Yaru looked at the students of the first middle school, rejoicing in their misfortune. Who asked these guys to be arrogant and look down on others? Now they finally kicked an iron plate. This was the first time she felt that this scoundrel Xiaoping had done the right thing for once. He had never done anything good before. This is an opportunity, we can't miss it. Chu Rong clenched her fists. If it wasn't for this accident, they probably wouldn't have found a chance to get the tokens. After all, the first middle school's coalition was simply too strong. They wouldn't be able to make a move. But now, these people were beaten miserably, and the opportunity had come. We still have many opponents. We have to be careful, Jiang Yaru said solemnly. There were also many people who wanted to get the tokens. Chu Rong smiled. It's fine. If we join hands, even the first middle school won't be afraid. For the sake of advancing to the top 16 and obtaining the tokens, these two archenemies joined hands at this time. After all, if they couldn't advance to the top 16, everything would be for naught. At this time, Xiaping was far away from the battlefield. He found a hotel room and entered the presidential suite. Just like that, he fell into a deep sleep, not paying any attention to the battlefield at all. After all, he had already obtained a token. Advancing to the top 16 was already a sure thing. As for who would be able to fight for the tokens in the future, it had nothing to do with him. This sleep lasted for the entire night. During this time, no one came looking for trouble with Xiaping. It was as if everyone in the tournament had completely forgotten about him. This made Xiaping feel very at ease. Early the next morning, the sun shone in through the window. It was extremely warm and gentle. Xiaping got up from the soft bed and stretched. After a night's sleep, he felt extremely comfortable and refreshed. It was as if all the fatigue of the day had disappeared. Beep beep. At this time, a message came from his smartwatch. A virtual projection appeared showing tournament over. Immediately leave the simulation city and head to the gate of the 8th region. Is the tournament finally over? Xiaping smiled. He knew that he had advanced to the top 16, but he didn't know who else had advanced to the top 16. Chapter 144. The City Gate of the 8th Zone. When Xiaping arrived at the city gate, he immediately found that many students had gathered in this place, but there were basically only a few of these people who were unscathed. All of them were in a sorry state. If they were not beaten in the head, their faces were swollen, and they had a pair of panda eyes. Their arms were broken, and their thighs were broken. Anyway, they were as miserable as they could be. These students supported each other and walked out of the city gate step by step. They were almost like refugees. The staff near the city gate were also speechless, and the corners of their mouths twitched. They had organized so many high school fighting competitions, but this one was the worst. Almost everyone was injured. Moreover, they were not light injuries. They were all seriously injured, and they were the kind of people who wanted to kill. Fuck, isn't this guy Xiaping? Why hasn't he been beaten to death yet? He actually came out alive and kicking? Look at his eyes, look at his face, how rosy it is. It seems that he has rested for a night and is very comfortable. Fuck, we were chased all night and fought with each other. I don't know how many people were sent to the hospital, but this kid ate and drank well and even slept for a night. I can't accept it. Why are we so miserable? Is there any justice in this world? God has no eyes. Seeing Xiaping walk out of the city gate, the other students looked over one by one, and their eyes showed extreme anger. They simply wanted to rush up and bite Xiaping to death immediately. What's the matter? Why are you looking at me? I'm not very familiar with you, but what the hell is going on with you guys? Did I go to the wrong place and come to the disabled summit? Xiaping looked at the students around him curiously, feeling very puzzled. Bullshit. Who would participate in the disabled summit? If you don't know how to speak, don't say it. No one will think you are mute. Hearing these words, the surrounding students were so angry that their noses were crooked. The reason why they became so miserable, and each of them became disabled, was it not all because of this shameless guy? If it weren't for you, bastard, fanning the flames, how could they have fought and gotten out of hand? Everyone was beating each other and both sides were injured. However, the perpetrator was not even a fart. He was refreshed, his face was rosy, and he seemed to have had a good sleep. In contrast, they were too miserable, and all of them were angry. Xiaping! At this moment an angry shout rang out. A man with a head wrapped in white bandages, two panda eyes, and a mouth swollen like a sausage walked over. He widened his panda eyes and glared fiercely at Xiaping, as if he wanted to eat him alive. Brother Panda, are we close? Xiaping blinked his eyes and looked at the man in confusion. He believed that he had never seen this kid before and that he was a stranger. He clearly remembered that no one he knew looked like a panda. "I'm not a panda. I'm Qin Muyang." The man cried out in grief and indignation. His tone contained boundless grief and indignation, and he was almost unable to suppress his emotions. Everyone was stunned and dumbfounded. This was the first time they had seen Qin Muyang like this. If he hadn't mentioned it, no one would have recognized him. "You are Qin Muyang?" It couldn't be. How could he become like this after just one night? Time is really a butcher's knife. Xiaoping sighed again and again. Time was a terrifying thing. Thinking back to how handsome Qin Muyang was back then, he was practically a school idol. In just one night he had become like this. Of course it wasn't bad now. He had become a cute type and could act cute anytime and anywhere. It was just that his chin and face were a little bigger and a little swollen. "Kill your ass. I was beaten up by someone." Qin Muyang's nose was crooked from anger. He had become like this, and this bastard thought it was the fault of time. Bullshit. No matter how terrifying time was, it was impossible for him to become like this in one night. Even someone who aged easily wouldn't age so quickly. This bastard didn't have much ability, but his ability to shirk responsibility was great. Beaten up by someone? Xiaoping blinked his pure eyes, looking very innocent. "So that's how it is. But who did this to you? It's too cruel." "You." Qin Muyang gritted his teeth. Thinking of what happened last night, he didn't want to recall it. It was simply a nightmare, the most painful night in 18 years. He was plotted against and beaten up by a group of people. Someone hit him on the back of the head with a brick, almost knocking him out. A group of people punched and kicked him. If he hadn't cultivated a powerful body protection technique and struggled hard, maybe his pants would have been snatched by a group of wolf-like bastards. He almost lost his chastity. But even so, in order to avoid the pursuit of a group of people, he fought and retreated. In the end, he finally lasted until the end of the competition. He didn't sleep all night and his nerves were tense. It was a pity that he was a master at the 9th layer of the martial disciple realm, the strongest in the first middle school, the son of the mayor, but he was beaten up like this and chased like a dead dog. When did he, Qin Muyang, experience such a thing? And all of this thanks to this shameless Xiaoping. Xiaoping, don't pretend to be innocent here. If you didn't plot against us last night, how could we become so miserable? Thanks to your plot, the students of our first middle school were beaten miserably. 6 were eliminated, and 4 were seriously injured and hospitalized. This is all thanks to you, do you know? 2 or 3 students with white bandages came forward and glared at Xiaoping fiercely. They were the remaining students of the first middle school. Before, 10 of them could advance to the top 16, but after last night's battle, only 4 people could advance to the top 16, which was the worst in years. So they hated Xiaoping so much that they couldn't help but want to go up and beat Xiaoping up. "Okay, don't talk here." At this time, a middle-aged referee came out. "Your injuries are very serious. You need to go in for treatment immediately and soak in the nutrient solution. If you delay, there may be sequelae, you know?" He waved his hand and ordered the staff around to come forward and carry away the seriously injured students. This Tinshui City High School fighting competition was organized by the government. Naturally, a series of medical measures were prepared to prevent students from being too seriously injured during the fighting and dying. Moreover, these medical treatments were free. It was a kind of safety guarantee given by the government to the contestants. Humph! Seeing that the referee had spoken personally, Qin Muyang and others were helpless. They also knew that they couldn't do anything to Xiaoping now. Once they did, they would be kicked out of the competition and eliminated completely. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.